Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
We-
Wait, before we even get started, I love the new music. You did a great job on that. I love the new music. That's amazing.
I want to say thanks to YouTube to inappropriately labeling something as copyrighted and making me pick something else, and also subscribing to a music license group. So thanks, YouTube. It ended up being a little bit better. So I'm going to solo you, just so everybody can see the lovely. We saw in the chat before we came on the Letitia hair watch, and or the Brandi hair watch, and yes. So we had to
call me little Lucia.
Let's say hi to a few people. I think I'm trying to.
Hi, Kat. We have a new member, Kat, that came.
Kat. We do. Hello, Kat.
Hello, Kat. Hello, all of y'all. Yep. Hi, Kat. Kat Langton. Kat Langton's a new member. I love all that green.
Yeah. It's so good. I love all this
green. Good. I love it. Our little family.
Cajun Kool-Aid. What's going on? Hello.
Hello. Did you see Cajun Kool-Aid's tweet today? Cajun Kool-Aid was gathering the people. I loved it. It was amazing.
Thank you. Annie also tweeted out. I'm sure there were some other folks and I missed it. Feel free to tag us. We love being tagged. It's great. I think Annie was the first one in here again today. And I think
Annie.
Because Annie was the first one in, I think that she won our 13th juror chair. So she's going to end up having a full dining room set soon. And I mean an invisible one. So if somebody comes over, don't say, "Hey, here's all your chairs." They will look at you funny.
It's like still people look BYOC. At me. Yeah, it's still BYOC. Bring your own chair. But you have now two of them. Two imaginary 13th juror chairs.
Two chairs in your head spaces. So thank you, Janet. Hello.
Hello.
The UK. Oh my goodness gracious! I got to do the math, and I don't math, and I know that you're like 6 hours ahead. So thank you for churning in. Let's see here.
How many people have gathered now? What are we at? We're at like 158-ish?
158. Now 159, I think.
Oh, that's 159. Amazing.
Let's see here. Knitting Addict, hello. Lexa, hello. Thank you for joining us. Who else we got going?
Did I see your Twitter DM? No, I have been working on merch for the last, I don't even know how long. Let me look and see your Twitter DM. Let me pull it up.
Ricky, I'm reading that howdy is a howdy, y'all. And I hope that I'm right. I do. Hello, Ricky. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for coming.
Oh, goodness. Oh, can I read this?
Read it.
Well, I got to get... Deanna, the audio bird, can I read this? Going. I'm about to read it. She sent me a DM, and I don't want to like...
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was going to make sure it's okay with her. She said yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. I found out this is from Deanna the Audio Bird. She said, I found out this morning that last night during your broadcast, my third grandbaby was born. This is her third step grandbaby. I am swinging from the rafters as we get ready to fly to Texas to meet this new little baby boy. Oh, she said, I'll try to show up at the broadcast tonight, but I had to share that with you. That's so cool. Oh, this is our first baby. This is our first 13th juror baby.
Cult baby.
Oh, yay.
Multiple generations. Cult baby.
Our first cult baby. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
Well, Amanda, I know that the baby took over for a second, but thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And it came highly recommended. Well, we appreciate that. Terry, hello.
Yay!
Lisa, first timer. Hello. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa. This is not my normal hairdo. Just so all the first timers know.
It's much better. Oh my gosh, hold on. We're getting things. I'm gonna try and hit everybody, but I hit Cat. We just got a super chat. I gotta go down. I gotta scroll all the way down. Yo, moving. Oh, Ashley, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh,
Brandi,
thank you, Ashley.
vibe.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you.
Hello.
Rocking it.
It is a TGIF. I hope everybody has their drink in their hands. I happen to have a Rockstar, and before we got on, Brandi was like, "Oh, this drink is it is heavy." So.
Yeah, my drink is strong, y'all. So it's Friday, and this is a short episode. So I was like, it's okay to be a little bit stronger going into this one because we'll be.
Chandra became a YouTube member. Thank you so much.
Oh,
thank you.
Chandra. We love Chandra.
Let's see what else. Deanna, hello. Hey, Maggie, thanks so much for coming over from RA. RA had a lot of good things to say this morning about us. Oh boy, and I was both tearing up.
It was awesome.
Uh-oh. Denise said she has some insider information about what to expect next week in court. Let me know if you want me to video in.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get a. Let's see if I can invite.
Y'all, I have been working on the merch. While he's getting her in, I'll tell you, I've been working on the merch for the last, I don't know how long it's been, the last couple hours anyway. So we'll post that. But there, and we're going to show, we're going to scroll through and show some of the stuff, but I am so excited for y'all to see it and it's not done yet. We're going to have some more stuff, but there's some really fun stuff that's on there. And I am so excited for y'all to see it. And some of it was inspired by some of our random weirdness, but I love it. I love it.
Denise, I just sent you the invite via Discord through the messenger, so feel free to hit that whenever you want. Toxic, hello. True Crime Web, hello. Are we going to
hello?
Texas is the ladies' room entry signs.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, if we got one for the urinal, we got to have one for the ladies' room, right? Chandra gifted 5 memberships. That's amazing.
What? Chandra, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Julie R. I Rescue Dogs, KAS, and Catatonic. Oh, Catatonic. That's really funny. Catatonic. Oh, I lost my spot. It's moving.
Ivamos. I'm going to mess that up entirely, but I'm glad
you caught up. My thing is moving so fast. I love it. That's amazing.
YouTube
Hello.
opened the allowance toggle accepting gifts. All right. I'm glad YouTube opened that toggle. Hopefully makes it easier. First time. Hello, Terry. First time chat, but fan. Thanks to RA. Thank you, Lisa, for being here. Leah, hello. I think it's Katie. Joyful Heart. Oh, that's so nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Advocate, hello. Hello to all our mods. Everybody drop a thank you to the mods. We appreciate them so much. They do so much for us. I really appreciate that. Oh my gosh, Nancy, hi. Hello, everybody. Let's just hi. Hello. Oh, look, it's Denise. Shall we add Denise to the thing? Yes. All right, here we go. Here comes Denise. Hi, Denise.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's funny. I've got you guys on my phone and I have Scott and Thomas on the TV.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got to get my fix. So,
right.
I had to go to the courthouse this afternoon with a friend of mine for a case that she's involved in. And as we were leaving, I saw Chanley Painter from Court TV.
Yes.
And so I met her last week when I was there. So I just walked right up and, hey, Chanley, how are you? Struck up a conversation. We talked a little bit about what happened today. Mm-hmm. There were a ton of witnesses today. I think today is the most witnesses that they've had so far in one day.
And it still went so quick. It's still 2, 3, crazy.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, I think. 9 or 10.
But I asked her because I've been looking for Tammy's autopsy report. She said it has not been made public yet. However, from what she understands, possibly on Monday, the medical examiner from Utah is going to testify about Tammy's autopsy. And we don't know, she doesn't know when next week, but Melanie P., her niece, Lori's niece, will be testifying next week as well.
That one's going to be a huge one.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to go one day next week. It probably won't be before Thursday or Friday. But I have to look at my meeting schedule at work to see if I can manage to be out the whole day.
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
Oh my gosh. That's
crazy.
I'm
so excited for that testimony too. Yeah, I'm so curious to see what she's going to say, because she's had, she drank the Kool-Aid. She's had her back the entire time. So I'm curious if after, now that so much has come out, if she's still going to, go down that path, or if she's going to kind of distance herself a little bit from it. So that'll be interesting to see.
She's testifying for the state.
Yeah.
She's a state witness, not a defense witness.
She doesn't have any kind of immunity, right? She doesn't have the Zulema treatment.
I think Zulema is the only one that has that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at you with your inside information. I love it.
So
I love that.
Just thought I'd share.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing that. Keep us updated as you learn more. We certainly appreciate having some boots on the ground, as it were.
Yeah. My boss already knows that if I wasn't needed so badly in the office, that I would and if I wasn't going on vacation in 2.5-ish, 3 weeks, that I would be in court every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good boss. That's what I think.
So I love her. So I've got the best boss. So
now, when you go to court, are you going to walk up there and tell them that you need a special chair because you're a 13th juror? You have a special seat?
I can do that.
I think you should.
I can do that.
We'll see how it goes.
What I wish I could do is take a picture of the bailiff's face when I say that.
Yeah. I was gonna say silence mode on.
Yeah, when I go into the courtroom, I turn my phone off completely. Like, I am not taking any chances.
Yeah.
Not at all. Oh my gosh. What you can do is you just print out a sheet of paper that says 13th juror, and then you just tape it to the back of your seat.
Yeah.
That's what you do. It's quiet. It identifies. It works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. I'm sure the judge would be so pleased.
Yeah.
Oh, Ray Romano himself.
Yeah.
In my head, anyways. Oh, man.
It'll be a short night because court was over at 1:30 today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think audio is only a couple hours, right?
Yeah, it's like 2.5 hours,
like
2 hours 40. It just depends on how fast we go. So yeah. More hangout time with everybody.
And it's going to be a lot of fast testimony.
Yeah.
So for all of us who have ADHD, woo! This is our kind of night.
Yeah. This is our moment. This is our moment.
Yep.
Well, thank you for the insider information. Oh yeah.
You're welcome. And I love your hair.
Thank you. Thank you. It is not comfortable at all, but it is worth it because, we get in our fun where we can. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Denise. We'll see you.
See you in the chat. Awesome. That was fun. That was our first, second call in. I think RA was the first. But that was our second. That was our first call-in with some late breaking news. I feel like Walter Cronkite, and I feel like you should help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. We need a Star Wars. We need Leia.
I'm like as Leia as I think I've been in my adult life anyway. I think I was Leia for Halloween when I was a kid, but this is like
I love that.
We get. Okay, so do you want to show them what we have put together for the merch? Now, if you'll remember, one of our memberships involves a discount on all things merch. So the merch site that we were on before, I wasn't a fan. I don't like they limited us on a lot of stuff and we didn't like it. So we swapped over, and on the new site, we have a lot more options. So Brother Brewmeister is going to pull it up because I want y'all to see some of this stuff because it was so fun. And it's inspired by y'all.
Before we do that, I do want to say thanks to Holly Berry because she sent I put it up while we were talking, but a super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so
Thank you, Holly
much.
Berry.
Let's see.
So cool.
Captain said more Sailor Moon than Leia. I can see that. Absolutely. Also, that profile picture is awesome. All right, here we go. Oh man. All right, so here we go. Here's the first one. This is a beautiful trucker hat that says "My other hat is a tinfoil tiara."
Yay! And it comes in different colors.
And this person looks so happy to be wearing it. So does he. I'm happy he wears a tinfoil tiara.
He kind of looks like what's the guy that Saturday Night Live guy, and he dated one of the
Andy Samberg
Kardashians.
Oh, yeah. Him, that guy.
He's on Saturday.
That one dude.
That one dude. I'm not good with pop culture.
Everybody's gonna pop it in there. I usually can pull it out of my butt, but all right. So apparently it comes in a whole bunch of different colors. It comes in black, pink, green, blue/red. All right, so there's that. Woo. Of course, we've got your 13th juror ball cap. And that comes in some different colors. What else? Pete Davidson.
Nah, look at
this is one of my favorites. It's a hoodie that says, "Sorry, I can't today. My portal's in the shop." Where did that picture go? I want a bigger picture. Why can't I get it? There it is.
Can't today.
There you go.
Portal's in the shop. That's hilarious.
Portal is in the shop. And then that also is in a bunch of different colors. Ooh, in green? I like it. I like it a lot.
They're saying it more like Andy Samberg. Maybe that is who I'm thinking because I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so it might be. I just know he's the Saturday Night Live guy, so maybe he's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway.
All right. This is wow. That was super inappropriate. Let's be friends. That
super
mug.
Inappropriate.
Super inappropriate. Oh, yes. That is a reasonably priced mug. That might be the cheapest mug I've seen.
So yeah, the price on all of these was a lot more. I actually dropped the prices because we were talking about this. We were more interested in y'all being able to have the stuff than we were like, getting rich off of it. We ain't gonna be getting rich off merch. So we took the profit margin that they had defaulted or whatever, and we wanted everybody to have stuff. So
hopefully it won't go too low. There's Max Comfy Real Talk 13th Juror Podcast t-shirt. I live for the day where I will see this walking down the road towards me one day.
How awesome is that?
Oh my gosh, my brain would explode. Of course, we got the shirt that says, "Wow, that was super inappropriate. Let's be friends." 13th Juror acrylic cup. Look at these pictures. Those look so good. That looks so. I might need to get that one for myself. Mm-hmm. There you go.
I love this one. Be yourself.
Little
Lucia. It's a quote from Little Lucia. It's not a quote from Little Lucia, but I just thought it was funny because Little Lucia just wants you to be yourself. I'm getting that one.
Oh, I love that one so much.
Yeah, hilarious.
Right. Oh, we also have the tumbler, the bigger tumbler here.
Yes.
Oh, and we've got, boy, do we have cell phone cases. Wine Mom's cell phone case? Yes.
Wine Moms.
And then here's your mug, your Wine Mom mug. Oh, that's not a good picture of it.
Little Lucia is, for the people asking, Little Lucia is one of the personalities that we've heard of from Letitia.
Yes.
Letitia.
Letitia. And yes, Brandi did this. If you have a dog, eat, sleep, bark, yada, yada, yada.
I was inspired by the pet parade, and I didn't have time to do the cat one too. I promise I will get the cat one on there too, but I was running out of time. I just wanted to get everything up. But I will do I'll change bark to whatever, eat, purr, eat, sleep, purr, yada, yada, yada.
Merch link. I will put a command together because we didn't have it until now. Mods, I just dropped the merch link, but I will put it together a command soon. That is so adorable. And that dog just sells it. There's a Wine Mom tumbler.
Yes, the Wine Mom tumbler.
Sorry, I can't today. I have jury duty.
I put that on a few different things, depending on what part of the country or world you're in. It's different weather right now.
T-shirt. Love that. Let's see, what else can we do? There's a sweatshirt. Then we have coffee, crime, wine, yada, yada, yada. I love this one too. I'm going to go broke myself. And then we do indeed have a mug that says Chart Lady Cult Leader. So
Chart Lady Cult Leader.
And then...
guess who's getting that one?
Yes. And then we got a mug for 13th Juror and another jury duty hoodie. And you know what? I think we need to add a Brother Brewmeister beer mug thing. Yeah. I'll have to figure that out. For a long time. Oh, there's so much good stuff here. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so much. Woo! Brandi, outdid yourself on that one.
Thank you. I love it. Yes. And there will be more, and we will try to update too as we add more stuff, because as more ridiculous stuff happens, we're going to have more ridiculous merch ideas. So we'll try to update y'all when we add stuff as well. So yes, I will put the sweatshirt with the super inappropriate on it as well.
We'll have to do like a super inappropriate and like I'm super inappropriate, and that's super. Yeah, there's just so much.
Yeah.
This is an inside beautiful joke. At one point, I was in the Discord and we were in a chat or something, and I was just typing because I was at work and I really couldn't talk. And they were like, "Can you do this thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, 35 cents." I was just kidding, but then I was like, "I'll do anything for 35 cents," and that is a callback. That is a callback. Also, I just put myself out there for saying I'll do anything for 35 cents.
That's hilarious.
Oh, y'all. Wait, Brooklyn, you got a juror summons? Or you mean I have a juror summons as like a merch thing?
Oh, we should add get out of work free notes for a juror on the merch list to take signed by Chart Lady Cult Leader and Brother Brewmeister. Get out of work free we'll do 3 weeks. We'll say 3 weeks. That's funny.
I think somebody had also suggested to us the concept of doing the charts and then signing them, which I kind of like. I don't know how we'd do that, but we could do it. It's a possibility.
Oh, Amanda P.I. is in here. So Amanda P.I. said she needs the wants the Wine Mom's Yeti tumbler because she doesn't drink coffee. So this is how the whole Wine Moms thing started. When the Murdoch thing was going on, there were this little group of trolls who were still exist, and they still do their business on their little, on the other side of the tracks of little Twitter. But anything that, we would say, or like there was basically it was kind of like those that just want to argue with everything. So anything that was said, they would, come back and argue. So then I was told that I don't do anything but sit at home. I'm just a wine mom. I'm not an attorney. I don't know anything. And so all these fights were breaking out. And then like wine mom started as an insult. And I was like, wine mom sounds fun. So we just kind of embraced it. And the majority of us either don't drink wine or weren't moms or whatever. But we were like, heck yeah, wine moms. So like our only thing was you just have to not be a jerk. Like when people have other opinions, just be respectful, not be a jerk. And that was it. That was literally it. And then be one of us. We embraced it and it was fun. And so we have, we do the hashtag on Twitter with the wine moms and stuff too. So that's where the wine moms thing came from. So, and Amanda PI was a part of that too. Part of the original wine moms. Oh, and she said, y'all are welcome for the Brandi and J.T. duo. So, yeah, because I think we followed one of us first. I don't remember. So we were following each other, but we didn't really talk. And then when I started working on the whole Guy Hines thing, and which, I know that the promo video is out there, but anyway, when we started working on that, then Amanda is the one who kind of got us linked up as far as like the whole podcast stuff. So, and it's funny because we've had so many people ask, oh, how did y'all meet? And like, it's like this, crazy funny story. It's not Twitter was how we met. Twitter and Amanda.
Yep. Twitter.
Yes.
It's what did it.
Yeah.
And then things just spiraled out of control.
Yes.
Absolutely spiraled
quickly, without warning. It all just happens. But
Lisa, thank you so much. Lisa gave us a shout out on Scott and Thomas's podcast.
Oh, thank you.
That's super nice of you. Okay. I'm trying to put together that command real quick.
The command for the merch.
Yep.
That was fun. We'll have more stuff coming too. That was so much fun to go through all that. And I'm the same as some of the other people who've said it on here. I want to get one of all of the things.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Let's see. Merch. If that works. I can't. You guys are great for being here. Appreciate it. Oh. What? That's not what I wanted Streamlabs to do at all. Streamlabs. I'm very confused. All right, well, ignore Streamlabs. Streamlabs, go home, you're drunk.
Aren't we all? Just joking, not yet.
Yep. All right. What else we got going on? What else do we want? Do you want to?
Lindsay.
Oh yeah,
it's the same people that go after everybody.
One second. Let me load it up here.
I made this way too
strong. Perfect. Perfect. 1 second here. Aaron, also known as Life with Bailey, and we'll leave it at first name because there's some crazy people out there, not in this chat, but in general. Aaron put together a beautiful thing for charges.
Oh, yes. This was brought up last night because of the... Oh, I gotta still taste that. Oh.
Okay. So here are Lori Vallow Daybell's charges. Do you want to read it or shall I?
I can't even talk right now. This is way too strong.
All right.
Carry on.
All right. So Lori is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, 3 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy Daybell, and then grand theft, collecting Social Security survivor benefits after the deaths of Tylee and JJ. And yeah. There's a lot there. If anybody's listening to the Defense Diaries podcast with Bob Mata, they're kind of going through like testimony by testimony and talking about it from both sides of prosecution and defense. It's really cool because it's like, Annie, I gotta ignore that link for merch. I don't know why Streamlabs did that, but I'll figure it out. I'll fix it. But it's really interesting because I don't know. The state's really got to get on it. They need to. They need to prove some stuff. They've proven that something really bad happened. I think they need to tie her to it. So I hope they have something to tie. But yeah, so I think they do. I hope they do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this. This is really cool. We'll or you can, since you're in Discord, drop it in Discord. Yeah. So what else? What else? Nan, it's called Defense Diaries. It's by Bob Mata, Motta. Bob Mata.
And he is the one that we had on the show Sunday for the WTF moments, and then Monday for the cult formation history lesson.
Yes. Brett, the gifts, if you were on a browser, if you click the little $sign, nope, that's not, wait, what? Where is it? You know what?
I'm tweeting the merch link.
Cool. Well, one of the mods reach out to Brett, either like with an @ and kind of either walk him through that or Brett, thanks for being patient while we were talking. We have a habit of doing that on this show. So if somebody can just kind of @ Brett and kind of possibly walk him through that a little bit. I'm still working on the gifts thing. I think, yeah. If somebody has success with the ! Gifts, let us know. The other
merch
thing, yeah, right. So yeah,
I just tweeted the link. Yeah, let's get into it. I just tweeted the link for if it's not working on whatever. I just tweeted the link for merch. But it's on my Twitter @ Brandi in Church, but it's 13th-jur.printify.me/products. So it's too much to remember, but it's on my Twitter.
I'm gonna tiny URL it, and we'll get a shorter URL out of it, and hopefully everybody can use that. Hi, Melissa. Hello.
Hi.
So we'll try and hit everybody. Perfect. Okay, good. Somebody's reaching out to Brett. Good. Brett said he's on an iPhone. That is a whole nother ballgame. The iPhone is apparently they're adding a button to join for the iPhone. So you can do it through Apple, I guess. So that is going to be an option soon. Yep. Dang near impossible. I can say that for sure. But yeah. All right. So again, this audio is definitely shorter. And it's probably going to be around 2.5 hours. And I guess we should probably get going. I'll start at 1.25 and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. If everybody's ready to go.
And one more thank you too for last night. Last night was so cool. I love coming on today and seeing everybody in green. It's like the coolest thing ever. So we appreciate y'all's support. And we appreciate y'all being here and the memberships and the love-ins that we've been getting. I just wanted to say thanks before we get started because whoever ends up falling asleep, I don't get to see y'all at the end. So thank you.
Perfect. All right, here we go. As soon as I share the screen.
Okay, we're on the record on case CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. The state's here present. The defense as well as the defendant are all in attendance, and the state's continuing with presentation of its case in chief. We left off with a witness on the stand yesterday, Ms. Williams. Is the state ready to proceed with continued direct examination, Ms. Blake? Is the defense ready to proceed this morning?
Branded Letitia Barf Bags. Hi, Date Sparks. Hi, Yo Mama. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, Yo Mama. Hello, Dean. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dean will add that to the merch list. Letitia Barf Bags. That's so funny.
Thanks for following.
My kid's like, I'm going to get pizza. I'll bring you some. I love this kid. I have a good kid. He's the best.
He's the best. Are they doing the whole like going through the? I'm telling you, we're gonna get used to
Labyrinth.
This labyrinth. I think that's doing.
My kid's gonna walk in here and see my hair and be like, "Mom, you're even less cool than I've always told you you are."
I did see your podcast, buddy. Should we look at Callie's podcast, buddy? I think we should.
Yeah.
1 second. Here we go. There you go.
Oh.
No.
So cute.
And for those of you who are having difficulties with the gifts, I truly apologize. You can reach out to one of our mods. They've got the wrench next to their names and ask them about it. I'm still trying to figure out this whole gifts thing. I'm a noob, so just be flexible with me. Thank you.
Yes. I love me some beach.
I want us to eventually get to a crime con.
Yeah, I would like to go to that too. Isn't it September in Orlando?
Ooh. Oh man, there is one coming up in Austin. There's a couple going on. We'll have to figure that out.
I think Orlando is in September. That one's not too. I mean, it's not close to me, but closer than Austin.
That's fair.
All right, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seat.
Figuring out as we go.
All right, please be seated.
Not bad for a stream that wasn't even planned. Just like, hey, this sounds fun. Let's start tomorrow.
We'll note the jurors are all present and accounted for. I believe they've all signed the juror affirmation today. Is that correct, Mr. Bailiff?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you again for your continued service. The state was in the case in chief with the witness on the stand, Ms. Williams, who can be recalled this morning for further examination on direct, Ms. Blake. Before we start, quickly, one quick housekeeping matter. When we had an exhibit yesterday, it was relating to the Apollo mapping. We had exhibit 142 and 142A, and just for the record to be clear, there was a I guess call it a provisional objection on 142A, which was the demonstration of the maps. Those were then published without further objection. So the court will note in the record that exhibit 142A in fact has been admitted in the case.
That's correct, Your Honor. We'll withdraw any objection.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Archibald. So with that in mind, then, if you'd like to call your witness, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state will recall Samantha William to the stand.
She can just take the stand without being resworn. Thank you.
And Your Honor, I was going to ask if I could be handed State's Exhibit 298.
All right.
It was previously admitted, and I would ask permission to publish it to the jury again.
You may. I'll just remind the witness, Ms. William, you are still under oath for purposes of your testimony today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, we have the new Facebook group too.
Ms. William, yesterday we were talking about your sister Tammy.
There's a command.
This is in fact a photo of Tammy, correct?
Yes, it is.
And I just want to remind the jury, you and Tammy are the only two girls in your family.
Correct.
And prior to her moving to Idaho, you two lived very close.
Yes,
And you saw each other daily.
every day.
We talked a little bit about what Tammy was doing right before she moved up to Idaho as far as employment. Do you know when she moved to Idaho if she was employed?
They moved at the end of the school year, so it was like June, right after school got out.
Did she end up finding employment later?
They did that next school year. She found employment at another school.
So she continued to work in the school system?
Yes, she loved working with students.
Merch command is.
Do you know, did she also continue to work with computers?
Yes. In fact, she helped one of the schools she was at get a whole new computer lab because they didn't have the equipment that they needed. And, it was a big deal. So.
And I know we talked about how you found out about her passing.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about her coming to visit in October.
Yes.
And you said on that visit, she seemed healthy to you?
Yes, she did. Tammy had been sick a few years prior, to this happening, where she'd had a bout of depression. And, as we do with any family, I always do visual checks on, your loved ones. When you see them later to see how are you doing, you look at them and see, and Tammy looked very healthy and was doing very well. So it was just one of those visual things that you do when you see your loved ones, and she did not look sick at all.
And when she'd been sick before, had she talked to you about it?
Yes.
And on this visit, did she indicate anything about not feeling well?
No.
And I think you said it was actually the contrary. She was telling you about different activities.
Yeah, different activities. She just had a wrist issue, like her wrist was bothering her. That was the only thing that she brought up.
And you found out the morning of her death.
Yes.
And was that October 19th of 2019?
Yes, it was.
When was her funeral?
It was the following Tuesday. It was really quick.
And did that seem odd to you how quick the funeral was?
Yes, it did.
Did you have any discussions with Chad about that?
Yes, I asked him on a phone call of why we were, doing things so quickly, and he told me that he thought that's what Tammy would have wanted, was to not have all the fuss. I also asked him why he was burying her in Springville instead of Rexburg, because their kids are in Rexburg. He is in Rexburg. And it's his spouse. I'm a sister. We're close. I like having her down there with me, but I'm not her, her husband or their mom. And he said that he thought that it would be better if she was down there because it was cold in Rexburg and under ice and snow all year, and they wouldn't get to visit her as much.
Were some family members unable to attend because the funeral was so quick?
Yes. Several of his side of the family and some other of our family were unable to come because they were out of state or out of the country.
Did that include a son of Chad and Tammy's?
Yes, their son was on a mission in Africa.
And we'd also talked about the summer prior to Tammy's passing that you'd noticed a difference in Chad.
Correct. He seemed more distant and less wanting to talk to us about things. And we just didn't know if it was because they were living farther away or we didn't know what was going on. It was really different.
At some point, did you learn that Chad had been remarried?
Yes, we learned it was actually 1 month to the day of her burial is when I found out about it.
Did you later learn when he had actually gotten married?
Yeah, because I told my husband to find out because Chad was still speaking, he was talking to my husband at that point. And I said, you find out when he actually got married, because I feel like that's very quick, even for somebody who's grieving. I'm like, you don't get married 4 weeks after you just buried your wife of almost 30 years. You just don't do that. And we found out it had only been 2 weeks after she'd been buried, and we were devastated.
Yeah.
At some point, did Chad indicate or did you learn the name of his new wife?
Yeah, he told us her name was Lori Ryan and that her previous husband had a heart attack. And so she had been grieving a spouse as well. And that's why they connected, was that they were both grieving the passing of spouses.
And did you end up learning another name associated with Lori Ryan?
I did. As any good sister did, I went to the internet to go see who this woman was. And
I'll object, Your Honor, to anything quoted from the internet.
And Your Honor, I'm not asking her to quote. I'm simply asking what she learned, and not for the truth of the matter, but as to why she did what she did next.
I'll overrule the objection.
I discovered her name was tied to Vallow, and it brought up newspaper articles about a man in Arizona who had been shot in his own home by a brother-in-law. And I took that to my husband and I said, I think this is the same woman. that he's married. He did not die from a heart attack.
And based on that, did you end up having a conversation with Chad at some point?
We've had multiple conversations with Chad. Eventually, the last conversation that I've ever had with Chad was in December. Was when we asked him to stop lying about what was going on. Ooh. Because there was just so much information that had come to us from the police as well.
And it was based on the information you'd learned from your search of the internet and that the police had told you that led you to believe he was lying?
Yes, because I had seen, as I looked up Lori Vallow's name at that point, I had seen that it had listed, I'd actually seen an obituary for Charles where Kay Woodcock had commented that we will take good care of JJ. And I didn't know who JJ was. There was mention of another daughter, but it didn't say her name. And I thought there's kids involved and I didn't know anything about who they were. So
I'm just going to renew my objection. I don't know where we're getting this information from.
Well, I will sustain that. It seems to be coming probably from hearsay source at this point, Ms. Blake.
After learning that information, did you ask Chad about whether or not Lori had children?
Yes, I did. I asked him in a phone call. I said, so please tell me about this woman that you've married to replace my sister with. And he told me that she had had a hard life and that the reason why they hadn't told me her name was because she was trying to, stay away from the stigma of what had happened to her. And I said, well, so please help me understand. So now that you've married her, are there children? Because I had seen the other information and I said, are you going to be raising kids together? Mark will be coming home from his mission. And he told me no, that there's no children and that they were going to be empty nesters.
Whoa.
Just a moment.
Yeah, give me one too.
I don't have any additional questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blake. Cross-examination.
Wow, that was a powerful thing to end on for her.
Here we go. Here come the heavy breaths.
Oh my gosh. It's my least favorite person.
Stop. He is breathing so loudly into the microphone.
He's already eating the microphone.
He needs to stop while he's behind. What is he stretching? I'm so confused. Oh, hey.
If the witness could be handed Defendant's Exhibit C.
That's my son. Nobody thinks I have a 20-year-old. This is the live. This is the YouTube. This is the...
Oh, that's live. So
yeah. This is a delay.
Oh.
Is it William?
Yes.
You've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit C.
Thank you.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's my sister's obituary.
Do you know who wrote that?
I wrote it along with some of my family members.
And who contributed to the obituary?
I know that Chad had given us some information, but myself and my parents had put it together.
And is this exhibit a true and accurate copy of her obituary?
From what I can see, yes.
Your Honor, I'd move to admit Exhibit C.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Very well. Exhibit Defense C is admitted.
So this obituary is, I'm okay if she hangs on to it. I'll ask her a few questions about it.
That sounded off.
What is that?
So the information in this obituary is that Tammy Daybell passed away peacefully in her sleep. Do you see that?
Yes.
And where would you get that information?
That was just from what Chad told us.
Okay. And so the information...
It's a lie.
That wasn't from a doctor's report. It wasn't from the police. That was just from what Chad told you.
Correct. We were led to believe that she was sick and had died in her sleep.
All right. And then you talk about the family history here, and I think you've already mentioned that. We don't need to go through it. But in her obituary talks about her interests in life, and I think you've talked about that as well. Tell me about this book publishing company that Chad and Tammy were involved with.
Yes, they had started a company together, Spring Creek Books.
And what did that do?
They published books that Chad wrote, and they also published books from other authors.
And so was that Chad's full-time job?
Sometimes, yes, but he was mostly on the sides. He also, during some of the time, would work at the cemetery during part of this time that they had the company.
Okay. And at one time, did that company go bankrupt?
Yes, they did. They had an issue with some distribution of books with Deseret Book because of how bookstores work, that if they find that they aren't selling enough of them, they can actually send a whole bunch of inventory back. And since they were a small company, it caused them to lose some money financially when they sent, extra books back that they had already printed for them.
So did your sister have to get a job other than Spring Book Company?
Correct.
When it went bankrupt? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No.
And so did Chad get another job other than Spring Book Company?
I believe so. That's when he worked for the cemetery.
Okay. Do you know what year they moved to Rexburg, Idaho?
It would have been in, oh my gosh, I don't remember the exact year, to be honest.
Around 2015, or is that too late or too early?
I think that's too early. I'm sorry, I don't recall the exact year that was.
Did you know how many years they lived in Rexburg before Tammy died?
At least 3 to 4.
Okay. So she died in 2019. So maybe they lived in Idaho 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Okay. And so you felt like when Chad and Tammy lived in Utah, that you were close to them and saw them frequently.
Correct.
And when they moved to Idaho, that it became harder to stay in touch.
Correct.
Did Chad talk to you about his near-death experiences?
Yes, he did.
Did he write books about those?
Yes, he did.
Have you read those books?
Only one of them.
How would you describe
one more than
books?
Me?
Very spiritual in nature.
Were they well received? Did he make money off of them?
He did make some money off of them, yes. I don't know the exact amount.
And so when did you first hear Chad talk about his near-death experiences?
I actually don't recall a time for when that happened.
Was it something before his book was published?
I believe he probably brought it up in conversation. Okay. We hold a lot of that stuff to be, personal. So when people talk about their spiritual experiences, I don't write that down.
But yet Chad was not keeping his experiences personal. He was writing books and going to conferences.
Correct.
So he was trying to make money off of his, what he'd call a spiritual experience.
That's a complicated answer.
Yeah. So you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't write down your spiritual experiences and try to make money off it. But that's what Chad Daybell did.
That's neither a yes or no question for me.
What? Okay.
And so these conferences that Chad Daybell would go to speak at, would you go to those?
No, I did not.
What were some of those conferences called? Do you know?
I know some of them were called Preparing a People.
And he would go and try to sell his books there.
Yes.
And he would go and talk to others about his spiritual experiences.
I believe so.
And you would talk to Chad and your sister about what he was doing.
Sometimes, but it didn't always come up in conversations.
Was your sister going to these conferences with him, or was he going alone?
No, he went alone mostly. Tammy didn't travel with him to those because she was working and raising children.
So she had a job, taking care of the kids, and Chad was out trying to sell books.
Correct.
And do you know where he would go to try to sell his books?
I didn't track him.
What would Tammy or Chad tell you?
That he just had conferences all over the place. He's been to Idaho, Utah, Arizona. I don't know what other states he went to.
Okay. But those are the three that you remember.
I do remember those.
Right. And did your sister help publish these books?
Yes, she did.
And so that was after the Spring Book Company went bankrupt. They tried to make it go again.
Yeah, they still tried to write books, and they found other distributors to, help out with distribution of their books or of other authors' books.
Okay. And so did you ever hear Chad and Tammy with you Excuse me. Did you ever hear Tammy say, Chad, quit trying to sell books, go get a real job?
No, I was never present for any of conversation like that.
And,
I've been
and so
flashbacks to my
Tammy,
parents. No, I'm kidding.
rather than say, go get a real job,
joke.
supportive of his book selling endeavors.
I would think so, yes.
In fact, you say she was a computer whiz. Would she help him publish these books?
Yes.
And was she in charge of the graphic design of the books?
Yes.
And so she was an instrumental part in getting these books from Chad's thoughts to publishing and selling.
Yeah.
And you say you've read one of them.
Well, one of the ones that you were referring to, but I've read some of his others, yes.
Oh, okay. And how would you describe the books that you've read?
Most of them are fictional about what they feel like life could be like for the second coming. It's almost like the same kind of a genre as a dystopian novel that a lot of teenagers read, but his was more geared towards religious aspects.
Thank you for the watch.
It was all fiction.
And would he advertise his books as fiction?
I would believe so. As far as some of them not. It just depends on which book. He wrote several.
Were you aware that one time he said, everything that I've read is true, or everything that I've written is true?
I don't know about that statement.
Okay.
I'm pinning it on.
He never said that to you.
Personally, I don't recall him ever saying that.
Okay. Now these books,
Hi,
the content of them, it wasn't something that you were enamored with.
I'm an avid reader, and so I read lots of different things. I would read some to support him, but I also teach school, and I don't have time to always read all the things that get published and put out there.
Yeah. Your
especially things from him.
Did she believe what Chad was writing was true?
I don't know.
Did she tell you that it was fiction? It's really just made up stuff.
Well, a lot of it was based on what he probably felt would happen in the future, but it was still a fictional story.
Okay. This.
Thank you for joining.
These. I think you said you never went to any of these conferences or seminars that he would speak at.
No.
And Tammy, as far as you know, did not go to any as well.
Well, I'm sure maybe she went to a couple of them, but for the most part, she didn't go to all of them.
Now, you indicate that your sister was an empty nester at the time of her death.
I never said that about my sister.
You mentioned empty nester. That was Chad's statement to someone else?
No, that was his statement to me about him and Lori being an empty nester.
Were Chad and Tammy empty nesters when Tammy died?
Well, they still had a son that lived at home, and they had a son on a mission who would come home and live with him when he came home. They are older children, but they still had children around.
And when you say mission, what are you talking about?
In our Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a lot of our youth go out and serve a religious mission for 2 years. And Mark was on one to Africa.
And so Chad and Tammy didn't have any minor children at the time of her passing?
No.
So all of her children were adults?
Were adults, yes.
When you talked about Chad being part of a cemetery crew, what is a sexton? What does that mean?
They oversee everything that happens at a cemetery, the burials of everybody's loved ones. They make sure that the mortuaries and the vault companies, they make sure that the hole is dug and they put in the vault, and they maintain the space so that it's, the lawn is taken care of, and, all the general upkeep that goes with making something stay nice.
And how long did Chad do that?
I don't remember the exact years, but he was there for quite some time.
Did he do that in high school? Did he start out doing that?
Yeah, he did. He started out as a teenager that he worked there with his siblings. It was a summer job.
And then as an adult later, he was still interested in that.
Correct. Because it was something he knew how to do, and it paid well.
Okay. Do you know if he took a job as a cemetery sexton in?
No.
Do you know why?
Do I know why what?
Do you know why he would not be looking for a job other than writing books?
I don't.
He wants to pin everything on Chad. Everything.
Sister, that you talked about, were those in the summer of 2019 before she died?
Which visits are you referring to?
June or July of 2019, a visit when your sister came and something was off with Chad.
Yeah, that happened in June. They came and stayed with us.
June of 2019.
Yes, they'd come down from Idaho to celebrate Chad's mom's birthday. His parents live in our same town, and they stayed with us for part of that visit.
And then was there another visit just a month later in
Yes,
July?
in July, but we didn't know they were in town. They had not written a book, but they had published a book for another author. That there was a movie premiere tied to that book, but I hadn't heard about it. It was for the Fighting Preacher, and they happened to be in town for that. And they just showed up at our door to give me my birthday present.
And that was when Chad would not come in to visit with you.
Correct. He sat in his car.
And that was unusual.
It was
So
very
weird.
unusual.
And then the next time you saw your sister was in October of 2019.
Correct.
And that was also in Utah.
Yes.
And Tammy looked healthy and fine.
Yes, she did.
Did she ever say to you, my husband has had a vision that I'm going to die?
No, she never mentioned that to me at all.
I mean, I wouldn't say anything either. I'd be embarrassed.
Would you be surprised to hear anything like that coming from
Say
your
nothing.
sister?
Yeah, I would be surprised by that.
As far as you know, Tammy had a full life, healthy, happy person.
Yeah.
She was not making arrangements to die.
No.
No. And
Oh my God. That was the stupidest question ever.
when Chad told you she was coughing and died, did you suspect something off?
I felt like, and I wasn't sure why, but I did. I felt like something had happened to her and I didn't even know why. I had no reason to suspect Chad. I had no reason to suspect anything, but I do feel as a spiritual person myself that my sister was telling me that something had happened to her.
Did your sister tell you about being shot at?
Yes, they told us that some kid was pranking with a paintball gun because that's what they were told.
And so your visit with your sister Tammy was after the paintball
No, it was
shooting.
before the paintball shooting that happened after.
Ms. Williams, can you please make sure to wait?
Super
until it's
inappropriate.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Williams,
Sorry.
when anyone's talking.
It's just
I
so
know
annoying to
some
listen to
trustees,
him that she
please
just
wait
wants
until
to
the
answer.
question's completed. It just helps our court reporter to keep the record.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
No,
I
sorry
just
about
want her
that.
to interrupt him to shut him up.
So your visit with your sister Tammy in October of 2019, your personal visit face to face, was before the paintball incident.
Correct.
And so you must have talked to her on the phone then after the paintball incident.
No, we didn't talk on the phone. We messaged.
Okay. So in texting or?
Yes.
All right. So after Chad remarried, did you meet his new wife?
No.
Yeah.
They
Good.
left for Hawaii shortly after we found out. So I've never met her.
There was also a trip to Knott's Berry Farm.
Correct. That they took
All of a sudden, they
over
never wanted to pay their
Thanksgiving.
taxes again.
So at the end of November of 2019, Chad and Lori and all of Chad's kids went to Knott's Berry Farm. Is that right?
That was part of their trip. I believe they, went to the beach and things too.
Okay. And how would you have learned about that?
Chad told us.
All right. Did you see photos of that event
No, I didn't.
from Chad's kids? Did you hear from Chad's kids about that?
Yeah, they had told us about it. I think they actually, a couple of their kids showed us pictures of them at the beach, but I didn't see anything else past that.
Okay. And that was in late November of 2019.
Yes.
Can you imagine how she felt seeing those beach pictures?
I'm sorry for the
knowing
lawsuit.
that
Thank you.
her sister was, talk about wanting to bomb somebody's house.
Blake, redirect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just briefly. You were asked a lot about Tammy's employment and Chad's employment.
Correct.
When you talked to Chad in December of 2019, did he indicate to you how he and Lori were going to support themselves?
Well, I know that they had the life insurance money that they'd gotten from my sister and that they were going to, I think, take some time. And he was probably going to write some more books.
And in the past, Chad had relied on Tammy to contribute to the finances.
Correct.
Chad was not able to financially support the family by himself.
No.
And he didn't indicate to you that he'd found a new profession to do that.
No.
So presumably
Or
he may have
sugar
needed
mama.
rely on support from his new spouse.
Correct. He told us that she had lots of money.
And she
You
did
were
pay
asked
for
if
everything for
that
him.
really- Did Chad ever come around to your family after he was remarried?
No. In fact, he wouldn't even tell my parents he had gotten remarried. He made his daughter call my mom.
Oh my God. And him and Tammy were married for a long time, like right out of high school.
Chad taking some of Chad's children to Knott's Berry Farm.
Yes.
And did you say they told you about that?
Yes.
And that was in late November?
Yes.
So just the next month was when Chad informed you there were no minor children?
Correct.
You were also asked about, in the obituary, how you got the information that she passed away peacefully in her sleep, and that came from Chad.
Correct.
You were asked if you heard about that from a doctor.
Yes.
And at that time, it was just Chad relaying that information to you.
Yes.
At some point, did you learn different information from a doctor or medical examiner?
Yes.
Ugh.
Did Chad ever tell you about having a vision that Tammy would die before she was 50?
He never said that to us at all.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Sisters,
Chad
you don't
and
mess
Kurt-
with sisters. If he'd
Chad
have
and
told her
Tammy
that,
had babies together.
Correct.
Are all 5 of those children still alive?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blake. So, Ms. William, that will conclude your testimony. Thank you for appearing. I'll have the escort assist you in exiting the witness box. Is this witness allowed to be released from any subpoena?
I would request that she be released, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
Okay, witness can be released then. And
like, I don't have a sister, but I am a sister, and I will tell you that you don't mess with sisters. So I'm not surprised at all that he didn't say nothing to her.
You call Coulter Cannon? I guess I should say Deputy Coulter Cannon.
Thank you for the compliments on the space buns. Channeling my inner little Lucia.
Space buns.
Space buns. That was the. That was the word. Space buns.
I wasn't ready.
And Ricky, I'm not drinking wine tonight. I actually have a Long Island iced tea, but I'm sipping. I made it way too strong, and I am.
It's a Long Island.
It's a.
all right, before we commence testimony, then I'll just briefly inquire.
The longest island. I've.
You observed any of the trial testimony?
I don't drink
Ricky.
No, I have not.
Okay, haven't read it, listened to it online.
Good night.
Somewhere else?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you for that response. As you're being questioned, please make verbal responses to any questions asked, and please avoid talking at the same time as any attorney questioning you, so we can keep a clear record.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing it right, but I'm gonna be
Inquire on direct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
going by the time
Deputy
it's over.
Cannon, would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Coulter Cannon, COLTER CANNON.
And where are you?
Yes,
currently
Lindsay
employed?
Hendricks. Me too.
How long have you been employed with him?
9 years.
What is your current title or position?
I am a school resource officer right now.
Do you also serve as a
Oh,
regular deputy?
that's cute.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any specialized training in order to be a peace officer?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
I have graduated from the Post Academy with a basic certificate. I've also have received my intermediate certificate from the Idaho State Police Academy. I've also had numerous hours of school resource training as a basic and advanced officer there, and then training throughout the 9 years of my
Oh,
career.
thank you, MCAT.
Do you recall if you were working on the night of October 9th, 2019?
Yes, I was.
And how long was your shift that night?
Was it
We
12
always
hours?
do it at the same time.
Did you respond to
Thank
calls?
you.
that night?
Yep.
And I'm sure you responded to more than one call that night, but I'd like to draw your attention to a specific call regarding the report of a suspicious individual.
Okay.
Where did you respond?
It was approximately 200 north and 1900 east in Fremont County.
Okay. And what was the nature of that report?
There was a suspicious individual that had pointed a paintball gun at a lady.
Were you patrolling? Oh, excuse me. Where were you patrolling when you received the call to go to that location?
At that current time, I was in the Egan area of Fremont County.
Do you know approximately how long it took you to respond to the location in the report?
was about 6 to 7 minutes.
And how did you respond to that call?
Initially, I had my lights on until I reached about 1900 north and 350 north, or 1900 east and 350 north, and then I shut them off.
And why did you shut them off?
Just so the suspect would not see me coming.
Okay. Who reported the incident?
I believe there was 2 reporting parties. I believe the first one was Joseph Murray, and the second one was Tammy Daybell.
Okay, so there were 2 calls made to dispatch?
I believe so, yes.
And do you recall approximately when you arrived at the residence at 202 North 1900 East?
It was just before 9 p.m.
What did you do when you arrived at the residence?
Initially, I drove through the area looking for anybody in the area with matching the description that dispatch gave me, and then knocked on the front door and contacted the reporting party.
Were you able to locate a suspect?
Not at that time, no.
Did you receive a description of the suspect from dispatch?
Yes.
What was that?
It was a male wearing all black with a black mask, ski mask.
Okay, and were you the only deputy who responded to the call?
No.
Do you recall who was at the residence when you arrived?
When I arrived on scene, I spoke with Tammy Daybell in the residence, but Chad Daybell was also there and Garth Daybell.
So how did you make contact with Tammy?
I knocked on her front door.
Okay. Did anyone else come to the front door?
No.
Did you speak with anyone else?
No, I didn't. Other than Joseph Murray across the street.
Okay. And you said, I think that there were a couple other individuals in the home?
Yes.
And you were able to identify them?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm sorry, who were they?
Chad Daybell and Garth Daybell.
Okay. And how did Tammy seem when you were meeting with her?
She was a little nervous, not extremely shook up or anything like that.
Okay. She was not hysterical at that point?
No, ma'am.
What did you learn from speaking with her?
I learned that she was coming home from grocery shopping that night. She had backed into the driveway. She was getting groceries out of her car, and when she looked up, there was a male standing at the backside of her vehicle, wearing all black with a ski mask on, that what looked to be a paintball gun in his hands. She asked him what he wanted, and he didn't say anything. And then she heard 2 pops, and she screamed for Chad. And then the suspect ran around the north side of the property, and then she went inside.
Okay. In addition to the description regarding what the suspect was wearing, did she give any other physical description of the individual?
Yes, she stated at first that she thought it was her son because it had the same kind of figure build as her son, Garth.
And so was there a discrepancy in the height description that you noted in your reports?
Yes, there was.
Okay. How did Garth seem?
Just like another day, just calm and quiet.
Didn't seem upset?
No.
How did Chad seem?
The same. Just was quiet.
I don't know if it really was a paintball gun.
And did you talk with either of them at that time?
No, I did not.
Just to Tammy?
Yes.
Now, previously, I think you indicated there was another individual that had called dispatch, and you identified who that was. Who was that?
Joseph Murray.
And did you speak with Mr. Murray that night?
Very briefly, yes.
Where was he located?
He was at his residence in the yard. He was just kitty corner from the Daybell residence.
And do you recall what he said he was doing?
He was cutting wood that night.
Okay. And when you arrived, did you see someone chopping wood?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was, in fact, Mr. Murray?
Yes, it was.
Did he give you any other information regarding what he observed or heard?
He just stated that he heard Tammy scream, and then he had called 911.
And do you know what Mr. Murray's relationship was to Tammy Daybell?
It's her son-in-law.
Now, I think you mentioned at the time you arrived at the residence, it was a little before 9 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall what the ambient lighting was like outside the home at that time?
It wasn't super dark. It was dusk.
What else did you do as part of your investigation that night?
Like I said, I walked around the residence. We looked for any like shell casings or anything like that. If it was a possible gun, did not locate anything though.
Okay. Did you look anywhere else for shell casings?
Nothing, nowhere else other than the media area where she located, stated that the incident happened.
Okay. And did you go across the street to any other residences?
No, I did not.
Why? Or why not?
The lights in the house across the street were all off. I didn't want to wake anyone up. And Tammy was pretty convinced it was a paintball gun. So.
Okay. Later on, was there any attempt to locate bullets or shell casings?
Yes, there was.
When did that additional search take place?
It was January 3rd, 2020.
Okay. What did you do to look for this evidence?
I helped the FBI rake through the snow. We used metal detectors and just tried to locate any shell casings in that immediate area again.
And to the best of your knowledge, were any bullets or shells located in the area where Tammy Daybell had indicated this would have occurred?
No, ma'am.
Was there any indication or evidence of paint anywhere that she indicated this incident had occurred?
No, ma'am.
And again, what date did you respond to the Daybell residents for this report?
October 9th of 2019.
Your Honor, may I have just 1 minute?
Yes.
I don't have any additional questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rawlings. Cross-examination. Mr. Archibald.
I must have missed the outbursts today.
No. That was my worst.
No, I did. I really did. I did, actually.
So Deputy
That was
Cannon,
Letitia's. That was
the
Letitia's
night that you
outburst.
were out there on October 9th of 2019, you did a search of the property for
Him
marks
again.
of paint or for casings on that night.
I looked in the just
At least
general
it's not
area. I didn't
Thomas.
look around the whole entire property for that kind of stuff.
So the report to you was someone was standing right here and I heard a pop. So that was that the focus of your area?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't find any paintball marks?
Not that I noticed, no.
And Tammy didn't have paint on her?
No.
Do sometimes those paintball guns, they leave a splotch of paint?
I don't do a whole lot of paintball, so I don't know.
And so you looked for bullet holes in a car.
I didn't look for bullet holes anywhere. Like I said, I looked just in the immediate area for any shell casings or anything like that in the area.
And so your search on October 9th, 2019 led you to no physical evidence of something happening?
Just for a report.
Okay. And then the law enforcement
Hey, Denise.
didn't go out with the metal detectors until January 3rd of 2020.
That was with the FBI, yes.
So November, December, so almost 3 months later is when that happened.
Yes, sir.
And on January 3rd of 2020 is when the metal detectors were taken out there to look for casings or bullets.
Yes, sir.
And as far as you know, nothing was found.
Not that I know of.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, but I don't know if it really was. I'm really curious to know if I don't think it really was. I think if that's what she saw. You know, she don't know what she saw.
I won't address the subpoena since he's with the law enforcement.
She's probably thinking that there's nobody who's actually going to come shoot at her. You know,
Actually,
so
he's
maybe that's why she thought it was. I don't know. I feel like they were.
She said.
Released unless there's an objection.
She said
No
he can be
objection.
released. He's
Okay,
got to
be
get
released
back to
from the
Fremont.
subpoena. Thank you.
Gotta.
Your Honor, the next witness will be Helena Kayakamanu.
That piece of pizza that my kid just brought me was like the best piece of pizza that I've ever had. It was so good.
That's that Long Island iced tea talking.
It may be. I take it every time I take a drink, I make a face. I don't drink a whole lot, and I made this way too strong. And I'm not gonna lie.
The streaming with the graphics is starting to make me feel a little creeperish trying to find photos, but I did find one. All of her photos are so nice. All of them. There's not one bad one.
Have you reviewed
At
any-
least she's not peeing into Idaho, so there's that.
All right, thank you. When you're speaking, please talk directly into that microphone so we pick up your voice for our
And if
recording.
you weren't here last night, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it'll be on the
No, I can
WTF
always-
moments.
We'll keep a clear record.
That'll work.
With that in mind, Ms. Rawlings, you can inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Kayakamanu, would you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
Helena Kayakamanu.
I love her last name.
She
Helena
said
Kayakamanu.
Brandi Litwell.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
need
Where
her
are you
to
currently
lend me
employed?
some vowels.
City of St. Anthony Police Department.
And what is your current title or position?
Patrol officer.
How long have you been employed with them?
Just over 1 year.
What or where?
Lindsay,
rather, was
it's a
your-
Long Island iced tea.
Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
And what did you do in working for Fremont
Long
County Sheriff's
Island
Office?
iced tea.
I was a dispatcher.
The longest of the islands.
How long did
of
you work as a
The
dispatcher?
whole
for the
iced
Fremont
tea.
County Office?
Approximately 2.5 years.
And do you have any specialized training in order to be a dispatcher?
You go through an FTO program,
Please spell.
training how to dispatch, and then you're sent
Slowly. Could you imagine?
to the state of Idaho.
What are some of your duties as a dispatcher?
We take administrative phone calls. We also take 911 calls and dispatch those 911 calls for police, fire, and EMS.
How
So
is
you
it to
mentioned
know that
training
there is
duties.
never one person in her whole history
know
of her
those
whole
calls
life
are certain.
who's ever
Yes.
spelled her name right?
And to the best of your knowledge, are they stored
Just off the
somewhere?
bat.
Are you able to access those calls at a later date?
Yes.
Can you alter a call once it has been recorded and stored on the system?
No.
Were you working on October 9th, 2019?
Yes.
And do you recall receiving a couple calls that night about an attempted shooting with a paintball gun?
Yes.
Do you recall the name given by the first individual who placed the call?
Yes.
Who was that?
Joseph Murray.
And the second call that night, who was that?
Tammy Daybell.
Do you have a recollection of when the first call came in approximately?
I want to say about 9:30, 9:45. It was close towards the end of my shift.
Okay. And do you recall about how much later the second call came in?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Did you know Tamara Daybell?
Not personally. I knew that she was the librarian at my children's school.
Okay. Had you heard her name before that night?
Just other than her being the librarian at my children's school, no.
Okay.
Good night,
and so
RA.
you hear her name in the context of any investigation?
Get some
Not
rest.
till later.
Okay. So later on, did you hear her name in the
Love me
context
some
of
RA.
investigation?
Yes.
Regarding the phone calls from October 9th, do you know if those two calls were recorded?
Yes, they were.
And with regard to the first call, have you been able to review a copy of that recording prior to today?
Yes.
And was that recording, to the best of your knowledge, a true and accurate recording of the call that you took that day?
Yes.
Was it the full recording, to the best of your knowledge and recollection?
Yes.
Hers only has 6, but they were repeated 27 times each.
Recognize if it is your voice.
Yes.
And Your Honor, I have some jump drives with what's been marked as States Exhibit 232A and 232B. If Defense Counsel, I have shown them previously, but if they want to look at them. And Your Honor, I would like to be able to play the initial part of the recording to be able to have her authenticate her voice and then move for its admission at that point, if that's possible.
All right. Seems like a logical approach. Any objection to that from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead and begin the playing to authenticate, if you would.
Yes, French fry. That is correct.
What are we doing?
They've been drinking the same thing I'm drinking. It's taken them a minute to do anything.
Oh, there we go. And it's quiet.
So I'll make sure I have my volume up.
Yeah, please do.
My hair is in my way.
So, Your Honor, just for the record, I am about to play what's been marked as States Exhibit 232A.
Okay.
October 9, 2019, 21 hours, 41 minutes, 57 seconds.
What's your emergency?
Yes, so my
Donna Barkley, I can't say her last name. It's
Your voice
Kayak
on that.
Amanu.
Yes.
Is this the same recording or the start of the same recording that you had previously reviewed?
Yes.
And is it true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and recollection?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of States Exhibit 232A and to be able to publish the full recording.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Exhibit 232A is admitted and may be published to the jury.
And is the sound coming through? It seems like it's just coming through my computer. Is it coming through the rest of the speakers? It's just as loud as my computer is. Okay.
I want to move the microphone by that speaker.
Kayak Xanadu.
mother-in-law what I just got home about 10 minutes ago was unloading her car, and she thinks the man, but she's not on the central agency because they bring ski mask, came up to her with a table gun, but ski mask wasn't loaded, so she came out of it. But she kept asking me what he was doing with the phone, and then suddenly After she told out her husband said, he ran off.
Okay, what's the address? Are you there? Hello? Are you still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. What's the address?
It's 199 North, 1900 East, Rexburg, Idaho, 3440. That's my address. She lives in I don't know what her address.
Okay, I need her address. What's her location?
I think it's 201, I think is her address.
201 North 1900 East?
North. Yep, yep.
Does she know which direction he ended up running?
He headed back behind their house.
Okay, and did she give you a description of the clothing?
I didn't get one from her. I just know that.
And what is your name?
My name is Joseph Murray.
Okay, is this a good look or a good phone number for you?
Yep.
Okay, I am sending a deputy out to your mother's home.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have some. Go.
Kayakamanu.
And
all
after
Enemy
listening-
cinema.
Deputy, is that true and accurate recording of the full call from that night?
Yes.
Kayakamanu.
And I think that we mentioned earlier that there was a second call that you received that night. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to review that second call prior to coming to court today?
Yes.
And from your review of that recording, was it true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And was it a complete recording to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
And again, if I were to begin playing that, do you think you would recognize your voice on that audio?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to play the initial portion of what's been marked as State's Exhibit 232B.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can do so.
The last I heard, they were still supporting and thinking he had been set up, but there's been texts that have come out in this trial that were not released before, so I have not heard anything from them since then, but
Hot Sonia, gonna buy me some pizza now.
2019, 21 hours, 9 minutes, 20 seconds.
Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, I need to report something.
Okay, go ahead. What's the address?
Okay, 202 North, 1900 East.
That's Lori.
Sorry, this is a little awkward. And Debbie, did you recognize your voice on the beginning of that recording?
Yes.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate depiction of the other or the second 911
I know
call
it
you
was Lori
received on
because
October
I
9th,
vomited in my mouth a little
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of State's Exhibit 232B and to be able to publish the full recording.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
With no objection, Exhibit 232B is now admitted and may be published in its entirety.
Thank you.
The corner with the blinking yellow light on Salem Highway.
Is it a suspicious person?
Yes.
Okay, what was he wearing?
Me.
He was all dressed in
Me.
black and had a ski mask on.
And he said the blinking light
don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Oh, darn, I'm suspicious.
Driveway, and I was getting stuff out of the backseat of my car, and suddenly he was there, and he had a paintball gun, and he was and he was going to shoot at me, and I kept asking him what he was doing, so I could tell it was a paintball thing, and then he just kept doing it, so I yelled to my husband, and then he took off running around the back of my house.
Okay,
Oh, that's Tammy. Stop.
October
No, ma'am.
9,
Go sit down.
2019, 21 hours, 50 minutes, 28 seconds.
That was North 1900 East?
Yes.
October 9, 2019, 21 hours, 50 minutes, 43 seconds.
I wish they would clean these up some.
Direction he was going?
Yeah, I should have done that.
Well, you can't. Like,
They went out and looked, and he he was long gone by then.
Can.
Help their live stuff.
Inside my house is where he
No.
went to get away. Okay. He didn't say anything, or he just kept like he was holding the gun, like he was, had a rifle and just shooting at me. So, but nothing came out of the gun either, so I don't think it was loaded.
That sounds like a personal problem.
What is your name? My name is Brandi and J.T.
Oh, that's Tammy. I was wrong.
I will pass your information on to my deputies.
I feel wrong. I feel
had a
bad.
previous call about this individual, so they're out in the area looking now.
Okay, I think it was my son-in-law who lives diagonal from us that called you guys already.
Oh,
I just wanted to make sure it got reported. So,
let's see. And what's your son-in-law's name?
Joseph Murray.
Okay, yep, it was him.
Okay.
So, all right, I have a deputy that will be out at your home here shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Deputy, does that appear to be a true and accurate depiction of the full recording from the second call on October 9th, 2019?
Yes.
Your Honor,
Yeah, it does sound like Lori, Betsy. We both thought it was Lori in the beginning.
Yeah.
I can hand the exhibits to the deputy, and I don't have any other questions for this witness.
Of course, 911 calls are not exactly good audio, so it's kind of hard to tell anyway.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
All right, that'll conclude the testimony of this witness then. Is the witness allowed to be released?
No objection.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can be released. Thank you for your testimony this morning.
Be released. Go free.
Kaya
away.
kamananu.
Oh,
Helenice.
You can call us next witness.
And Your Honor, I may need just a brief recess.
Okay.
Be free.
We'll get the next witness here.
Let me have a quick sidebar with counsel.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
The
dang.
principal's office with you.
I was literally just thinking principal's office. Look at all our green. I love it. Hey, y'all.
Christine West, they are bringing her in.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Blake.
Betsy, you want to be green? Do you have your gifts on? Because you were on an iPhone, right?
Right.
iPhones are so
Witness
much
is sworn.
harder.
I just have a few questions. Have you listened to any of the trial testimony, either in court here at one of the simulcast locations, or listened to it online or anywhere else?
No, I haven't.
If you refresh your browser, you'll probably have a new
Make verbal
emoji.
responses to
I
any
saw
question
somebody
you
ask for a
and try to
13.
avoid talking at the same time as any attorney questioning you, so we can keep a clear record. Talk right into that microphone, and with all that in mind,
There's
just
also
let me
another
inquire
one
direct.
that says sus. Gotta suss it out. Suss it
Your
out.
Honor, would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Christina West, Christiane West.
Were you employed with the Fremont County Sheriff's Office in 2019?
Yes,
What was your title or position?
I was a dispatcher.
As part of your duties as a dispatcher, do you receive 911 calls?
Yes,
Do you know if those calls are stored somewhere?
yes, they are.
And I guess I should ask, are they recorded?
Yes,
And then they're stored somewhere?
yes,
Are you able to access those calls once they're stored?
yes.
Can you alter a call after it has been recorded and stored?
No.
Do you recall if you were working on October 19th of 2019?
Yes, I was.
What shift were you working?
The morning shift.
Do you recall
Dilly
receiving
Pickles.
a call
Thanks, Dilly.
about a
Welcome.
deceased individual?
I do.
Pickles have to be
What was
green.
that call regarding?
Tammy Daybell.
Had you heard Tammy's name prior to that date?
No.
If I were to play the start of an audio recording that's purported to be a copy of that 911 call, do you believe you would be able to recognize your voice on there?
Yes, I would.
And just one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm sorry for those of y'all who can't join. I know the iPhones are more difficult, but we've had a lot of iPhone users that have got to join because of the
I just
gifted
wanted to make sure I had the right exhibit number.
So hang tight.
Your Honor, this has previously been provided to defense counsel, a copy of this call. I would ask to be able to publish the first portion of it. It states Exhibit 233A. I would ask to be able to publish the first portion for verification purposes.
All right, any objection to doing that?
No objection.
Very well, you can begin to publish it to authenticate it.
where's your emergency?
And hearing that, are you able to recognize your voice?
Yes.
And does that appear to be the start of the call from that day?
Yes.
And Your Honor, I would move for the admission of State's Exhibit 233A.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 233.
Is this a new witness? Did I not change the?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, everybody. There you go.
We're at 202 North, 1900 East.
What's going on?
We just found my mom. She's on the ground frozen, or she's stiff, and I don't know.
Are you in Madison County or Fremont County?
Hello, I'm Chad, the husband. Clearly dead.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, are you in Rexford or, because your address shows Rexford address that you're in Fremont County?
Mile west.
Okay. Okay.
He is not faking like he gives a shit or crap right now, is he? Sorry.
Okay, can I get your name?
Chad Daybell. Oh, man.
Okay, Chad, I'm going to get somebody up here right now, okay?
You know the corner where the blinking yellow light is on the red house?
Yes, sir. Red house on the corner.
Yes.
Blinking yellow light. Okay. We'll get somebody out to you, okay? I'm so sorry.
Okay.
If you need anything else, to call me back, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Don't be sorry. He's the one that did it.
And after hearing that call, is that the call in its entirety?
Yes, it is.
And is that a true and accurate depiction of the call that occurred that day?
Yes, it is.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Blake.
Oh, Sharon Kinsharp, thank you.
What did I miss?
Sharon Kinsharp gifted 5 memberships.
Thanks, Sharon. Muchas gracias.
Oh, so yay!
That's
So some of
good.
our iPhone people that were having trouble are now.
Ms. West, on this 911 call,
Thanks, Holly. Holly,
someone
gifted
identifying
one, too.
themselves as
Thank
Chad
you, Holly
Daybell
Berry.
asks for an ambulance or a coroner.
Sonia, you're back.
I believe he just asked for a coroner.
And do you typically
love
send
that.
out an ambulance or just a coroner?
Wait, I want to go back. I don't think he asked for anything. He said that his house was on the corner. I think
Wait.
that's what it was.
Oh.
Sorry.
No,
I
it's not.
apologize. No, he did not say anything about an ambulance or a coroner. He said that his house was on the corner.
And I heard that and I thought he asked for a coroner.
Okay. Yes.
So if I misheard that, I'm sorry. He said
No,
his
but
house
you
was
want-
on the
He said
corner.
his house was
You
on the
make me
corner.
want-
He did
never
not
mind.
ask for an ambulance or a coroner.
And so what did you send out there? Who did you send out there?
I sent my deputies, who, that is our protocol. We initially just send the deputies at that time, and then they advise if they need any other resources.
Okay. So your determination as a 911
That was Holly
dispatcher
Berry, not
is
me.
not who to send out there. You just send out the police first.
Yes, depending on the call. Yes.
And
I
then it's
love
the-
that.
You make the determination whether to bring an ambulance or the coroner.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I wish I had that kind of Kool-Aid when I was in high school.
Is there any redirect?
Just saying.
Life would
Is
be
there
so
any
different.
redirect? It's like we can't do anything about this.
Just briefly, Your Honor. Miss West, on that call, Chad Daybell, I believe, indicates she's clearly dead.
Yes.
She's described as frozen or stiff or cold.
Yes.
Is that information relayed over radio traffic to a deputy?
Yes, it normally is. However, my deputy was sitting in dispatch at the time, so it was just verbally relayed to her.
And then the deputy may have determined whether or not to call out a coroner.
Yes.
There was no indication in the call that life-saving measures were being requested at that time.
Exactly. That is why I did not dispatch out an ambulance.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Blake. All right. I discussed, let me go ahead and just indicate that'll conclude your testimony. Thank you for appearing this morning.
And we would ask that Miss West be excused at this time.
Okay. Is there any objection to that?
No objection.
Okay. You can be excused then. Thank you for coming, and the bailiff will help assist you out.
I love the gift memberships because I love that the people who are having trouble getting to the green. I love the gift memberships because I think it's so cool being able to like see people get them. That's so cool.
When I was researching it like came out in beta mode in March of 22. I didn't realize it was that new.
Yeah. That's so cool. I love that. Hey, Ivan.
Ivan.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Hey, Bug Dugger.
Holly gifted another
Holly
5.
Berry gifted another 5. Thank you, Holly Berry.
Look at that. There's Betsy.
Oh,
Bug.
Betsy got it. Betsy's been
Saltine.
wanting the green. Betsy got it. Bug Dugger
Linda Easton.
did.
Denise Dominguez.
Salty.
Wow.
Linda Easton. Oh, that's awesome.
Holly Berry.
I love that. Oh, yay. Betsy was trying so hard, too. That's awesome.
It was. Well, now you all have access to the emojis.
Yay. Thank you, Holly Berry.
And lots of other tangs. Alyssa just gifted 5. Queen Olive just gifted 1.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
Oh, yay.
Good
Oh, that's
grief.
so cool. Thanks, y'all.
Look at.
Oh, I'm so
look at all
excited to
these
go
folks.
through. Nomadic Dragon. Laura Lee got 1.
Jim Bob,
Bob.
Dusty Den.
Dusty
Boo.
Den. Boo.
Man.
Oh, Nan. Oh, Nan got 1. Yay. I love that. I love that so much. Especially
Hercules,
because I feel so bad when, like, I know. Especially like when the people who have the iPhones and stuff are struggling and they're trying, I always feel so bad. And then like when they get to one, it's like Christmas. It's so funny. I mean, it's not Christmas because all you're getting is like membership or little channel, but it's still, I get really excited to see it.
Don't make Brandi cry again, everybody.
You know, I was crying last night. I'm so embarrassed. Tennessee sweetheart, first time here from RA. We love RA. Welcome. Welcome. You have been gathered. Welcome. We've gathered you. Angie said in the club. Yes. Oh wait, I do no. Like, that's what she says.
I do like these brief, quiet breaks because we can do this, especially when it's low. It's a shorter audio tonight, guys. So we can kind of we have a little wiggle room.
Angie, I was only a pretty crier because my Wi-Fi is messed up right now in the building. So it's furry, not furry. What's it called? Blurry.
Thank you, Betsy.
Oh, Betsy! Thank you. Oh, she said thanks everyone who gifted. I love that. It is like Christmas. Happy tears. Yes.
Yes. Never be embarrassed to feel. I agree. That's how I was raised. That's how I raised my kids.
All right, we're back on the record. KCR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. We just concluded a morning break. We'd like to call or have the state call its next witness this time. Who would that be?
Your Honor, the state will call Officer Allie Greenhalgh.
Greenhalgh. Oh, look at Betsy in green. She was trying so hard too. I'm so happy. I love all our new green people. Right. Tennessee sweetheart, we're glad you're here too.
Yeah, we are. We have a Facebook group. Join us.
Oh, let me check because I have to. I didn't realize I did where I have to approve it. Maggie Card, thank you. Oh, y'all are so sweet. I love our.
Oh my
group.
Goodness.
All right, now that the witness is sworn, let me just briefly inquire because we have these simulcast locations in the audio.
Our group is the best.
Have you listened to
literally the best
the trial testimony that's taken place?
Thank you, Angie. I have not.
Okay, thank you for that response. When testifying, please make verbal responses to the questions and avoid talking at the same time as any attorney questioning you so we can keep a clear record with that in mind.
Brooklyn said my toddler's out there somewhere raising himself.
Would you please give your name and spell it for the record?
Alyssa Greenhalgh, ALYSSA.
That's hilarious.
REENHALGH.
Where are you currently employed?
The Rexford
Police
Police
Department. Photos of people today.
How long have you been employed with them?
A little over 2 years.
What is your current title or position?
Patrol officer.
Prior to working with Rexburg, did you hold another position as a law enforcement officer?
I did.
And where was that?
That was at the Fremont County Sheriff's Office.
Do you have any specialized training in order to be a peace officer?
I do. I've been through the Post Academy and I hold an intermediate patrol certificate.
Did you approve the Facebook people?
Fremont County for the Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
On October 19th of 2019.
Yes.
Do you recall what shift you were working?
I believe I was a day shift officer.
How long had you been a police officer at that time?
Approximately 2 years.
All of the emojis.
The report of an unattended death.
Everything that's green. Bessie's happy to be in green. It's everything that's green.
North 1900 East.
Well, you see Alyssa's last name.
Is that in Fremont County, Idaho?
It is.
Yeah.
Greenhawk.
Did you learn who the decedent was?
Yes.
Who was that?
Tamara Daybell.
Had you heard her name before?
I had
We'll
not.
talk after this.
When you arrived on scene, who was present?
Chad Daybell and Garth Daybell were both present.
Did you make any observations when you first arrived?
Yes.
What were those?
Chad and Garth both met me in the living room. Chad seemed very distraught and was crying. Garth was a little bit more reserved and stayed pretty quiet.
Hi,
When
Texas
you respond, and I guess to back up, what is an unattended death?
An unattended death is basically somebody contacts police when they find their stranger or usually their loved one or family member that they know is deceased.
And is it generally if someone is not under a physician's care?
That's correct.
We'll do it in between.
Had you responded to other death scenes before?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how many?
Approximately 5 to 10.
When you are dispatched out to an unattended death, are you conducting an investigation?
Yes.
Are you looking for specific things as a law enforcement officer?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you're looking for?
As a first responder officer, we're looking for obvious signs of foul play, like disturbances at the scene, broken furniture, things pushed around, or obvious injuries on the body, like gunshot wounds, stab wounds, things like that.
When you first responded into the residence, did you notice any signs of a disturbance?
Yes. No arms on this.
Any signs of a break-in?
Icon.
At some point, did you observe the body of Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Who told you where she was located?
Chad did.
Did he lead you to the location of the body?
Yes, he did.
And where was her body located?
Her body was in their bedroom on the bed.
Were you advised whether or not her body had been moved prior to your arrival?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
she
told
rolled out of bed dead.
Chad.
When you respond out, do you obtain or request information from the individuals on scene?
I do.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
What did Chad tell you regarding the death of his wife?
He had told me she had woken up at approximately midnight with a coughing fit. She had vomited in the bedroom and then had gone into the bathroom down the hallway and had continued vomiting in the bathroom. He went into the bathroom to help her clean up and then had put her back to bed. They had both gone back to sleep. And then he said at about 5:40 a.m. he had felt the covers of the bed pull off of him and had looked over and noticed that Tammy had fallen off the bed. And he had told her to wake up. And when she didn't respond, he got up and turned the light on.
She rolled
and saw
off
that
the
she
bed
had
and he
partially
said,
fallen off the bed
"Wake
and
up."
wasn't responsive.
And when you say partially fallen off the bed, did he give a
He's an
description of how she was partially off the bed, which part of her body?
Yes, he described that her feet and legs had gotten caught in the sheets. So her feet were still up on the mattress, but her torso had fallen off the bed and her head was touching the floor.
And then he indicated that he and his son had moved the body back onto the bed?
That's correct.
Had they also covered the body up with blankets?
Yes.
And when you arrived on scene, is that the position you found her body in?
Yes.
When you arrived, was it apparent that Tammy was in fact deceased?
Yes.
Do you also request information from family members regarding a decedent's health?
I do.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And did you request that information from Chad?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He told me that Tammy didn't like to see the doctor. She had had kind of a cold. She had fallen in the driveway approximately a month prior and had received care for that. But other than that, she didn't have any major medical issues or injuries that he had told me about.
Do you recall if Chad said anything to you about Tammy having shaking fits?
No.
Did he indicate anything to you about Tammy going through menopause?
I believe so, yes.
And do you recall if he told you that affected how she slept?
Not that I recall.
Do you recall if he said anything to you about Tammy having fainting spells?
No, he did not.
Do you recall if he said anything about her blood pressure?
I believe he did tell me that she had issues with her blood pressure.
We're going to need to talk, Brooklyn. I don't know about that.
At some point while you were there, did anyone else respond to the scene?
Yes.
Brooklyn would
Who was
know.
that?
The deputy coroner and the coroner both responded.
And at some point, was a mortician called as well?
Yes.
As part of your job duties, do you make a determination whether or not to have an autopsy performed?
No.
As part of your investigation that day, did you reach out to some detectives?
I did.
Did you indicate to those detectives what you had noticed on scene?
Yes, I did.
At that time, had you made any observations of any suspicious activity?
No.
And were you basing part of your investigation in part on what Chad Daybell was relaying to you?
Yes.
Did Garth Daybell ever contradict his father while you were there?
No, he did not.
Did Garth Daybell offer any information to you?
No.
Did you end up taking photographs of the scene?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be shown States Exhibit 295A through L. These photos have previously been provided to defense counsel.
Same.
And I have the official copy for the court as well.
Menopause does affect everything.
And I believe Your Honor has been provided with a courtesy copy as well.
I have, thank you.
Yeah, she rolled out of bed dead.
And Officer Greenalt, if you will look through those photos.
Chad looks like a breadstick.
And not a good one. Not an Olive Garden one,
No.
a frozen one. Although Olive Garden ones probably are frozen.
Like the ones that have been left in the to-go box in the refrigerator for 4 days.
Do those appear to be an accurate depiction of what you saw that day?
Yes.
And did you in fact take those photos?
I did.
I would move for the admission of States Exhibit 295A through L.
Any objection?
Your Honor, due to the graphic nature of the photos, they may be more prejudicial than probative. I'd lodge that objection.
All right, you want to make a response to that, Ms. Blake?
Your Honor, I would indicate that these are, the deputy or the officers indicated these are an accurate depiction of what she observed that day. And I think pursuant to case law, they are allowed to be shown.
All right, the court's considered the objection and also looking at whether under Rule 403 they should be excluded as being unnecessarily prejudicial. I do not find that they would be because they accurately depict the scene that the officer observed. And for that reason, the objection's overruled. So exhibits 295A through L are admitted.
And Your Honor, I would ask for permission to publish those to the jury.
You can publish them, Ms. Blake.
And Your Honor, similar to the graphic photos of the children, the court took special precautions not to show those to the public. I don't know if the court wants to consider that as well.
Mr. Archibald, I did consider that. I was able to see these photos in advance just over the break and determine that I'll allow them to be displayed on the projector, even though they are graphic in nature.
You can't just say just because something don't work in your favor that it's prejudicial.
I have
Officer Greenalch, what are we seeing?
All the evidence is prejudicial.
Photo
If you look at it like that.
taken from the entry of the bedroom of Tammy's body on the bed.
And that is in fact Tammy on the bed?
Yes.
And that is how you first located her?
Yes.
And in this
don't
next
do that.
photo, what are we seeing there on the floor?
So there is a mat on the floor with a towel and then some clothing items from the closet.
At any point, did you observe anyone do anything with that towel?
Not that I recall.
And what is this photo depicting?
This is another photo of Tammy's body on the bed.
Yes. Yes. I could do it.
Reminds me of the Ray Stevens song, Sitting Up with the Dead, if you know Ray Stevens.
While you were present, did you get closer to observe Tammy's body?
I did.
And when you did you make specific observations?
Yes.
What were some of those observations?
She had some pink reddish foam on her mouth that was running down her cheek.
And is that what we're seeing in this photo here?
It is.
In the prior deaths you'd responded to, had you ever seen pink foam on someone's mouth?
No.
Do you know if you'd ever responded to a death where the cause was determined to be asphyxiation?
Not to my knowledge.
Hi, Texas Val.
And is that similar to what we're seeing in this photo as well?
Yes.
Was this just a zoomed in picture of that?
Yes.
While you were on scene before anyone else arrived, did you do anything to manipulate or move Tammy's body?
The only thing I did was check a pulse on her arm, but I didn't move her body in any way.
After others had arrived on scene, was Tammy's body moved?
Yes.
Is that done to assist with an assessment?
Yes.
Were you present while that was being done?
I was.
And is this a start of moving Tammy's body?
Yes.
Did you make any additional observations as you started this process?
I did.
And what were those?
As we moved the blanket down so that more of her body was visible, I did notice lividity on her back and legs.
And in this photo, are we again seeing that pink foam?
Yes.
Thanks, Advocate. Jerry Lynn. Both.
All of the
I'm going
above.
to show States Exhibit 295J.
Geraldine is to Advocate what little
In this
Lucia
photo,
is
this
to
a closer view of that pink foam.
Yes.
Letitia.
And at that time, was that one of the main observations that you had made with regard to Tammy's body?
It was.
Did you observe any bruising on Tammy's body?
Yes, she did have a small bruise on her arm.
And just by looking at that, were you able to determine how old or when that bruise would have been inflicted?
No, I was not.
Did you end up accompanying Tammy's body to the mortuary?
Yes.
Did you also take a photograph there?
I did.
And I'm going to show States Exhibit 295L. Is that an accurate depiction of the photo you took?
Yes.
And in this photo had the foam or the pink substance been removed from her face?
Yes, it had.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blake. Any cross-examination?
So, Officer, what time were you summoned to the scene?
Approximately 6 a.m.
Ron Thomas hasn't done much today.
No.
I'd like to thank our
And
live
the
stream from
report
last night for
that
that.
Chad Daybell gave you was that
Maybe they let him know how much
20:30
we
a.m.
despise him.
is when he felt the covers pull off and she fell off the bed.
That's correct.
Okay. And so, do you know what time the 911 call was?
I don't.
But the time that you were notified to go there was about 6 a.m.
Correct.
And so in talking to Chad about, did you ask him why the 20-minute difference between falling off the bed and the officer arriving, or when he called 911?
I didn't specifically ask him about that.
And so you arrived at about 6 a.m.?
Yes.
And it was apparent to you that she was already deceased?
Yes.
and that the Chad and Garth indicated they had picked the body up off the ground and put it back on the bed.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if this is part of your training and experience, but bodies don't move if they're already deceased, right?
Correct.
So for her to fall off the bed, she would have been alive at that point, right?
I assume so.
Okay. So sometime between 5:40 a.m. and 6 a.m.
She would have to be alive to fall off the bed, really.
I don't know that I'm qualified to make that determination.
Okay. But just by the time you got there, there was no point in calling for an ambulance.
Correct.
By the time you got there, there was no life-saving measure that could have been had.
Correct.
Do you know if CPR had been performed on Tammy between 5:40 a.m. and 6 a.m.?
To my knowledge, it was not performed.
Ooh, no CPR.
All right, thank you, officer.
One job.
Which you willfully did not
Any
do.
redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
I think I was going to end on that. Like, oh, he didn't do CPR? Okay. Peace out. He wants so bad for all this to just be on Chad and for Lori to come out looking like a
You're asked about a time of
princess.
Death for Tammy. Is that part of what you do with your job duties?
No.
Are you qualified to determine the time of death?
No.
Have you taken any medical training in order to be able to do that?
No.
You were asked about a dead person falling off the bed, and Chad saying that happened about 5:40 a.m. Is that correct?
When she rolled out of bed dead.
Did Tammy, based on what observations you were able to make, did it appear Tammy had only been dead for 20 or 30 minutes when you arrived?
No, it appeared she had been dead much longer.
And why did it appear that way?
And I'll object if this witness isn't qualified to make time of death, then we're just guessing.
I will sustain that. I think it's speculative.
Based on your observations, was Tammy's body cold to the touch?
Yes.
Did you notice signs of lividity?
Yes.
Were you able to determine, or could you tell if there were signs of rigor mortis setting in?
I could not determine that.
One moment, Your Honor.
Dean. And Dean said he eats his pizza with a fork. This man can't be trusted.
No further questions, Your Honor.
He never tips his waitresses.
Ms. Greenholz, that'll conclude your testimony then. Can the witness be excused to release from subpoena?
Your Honor, the state would request you be released.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, thanks again for your testimony. The bailiff will assist you in exiting the courtroom, and the state, you can call your next witness.
The state will call Cammie Wilmore.
New person.
New person. Hey, Cammie.
I have a feeling it's going to be a running joke here, is that a new person's going to come on and everybody's going to put in the comments, "It's a new person, JT."
Keep up.
Right?
Just joking.
Right now that this witness has been sworn, before we begin examination, let me just inquire, have you reviewed any of the trial testimony in this case, either by listening in at any remote broadcast location or reading it on the internet or listening into it on the internet?
I have not.
Okay, thank you for your response. As you're being questioned, please make verbal responses to any question asked so that we keep a clear record, and try to avoid speaking at the same time as anyone questioning you. With that in mind, Ms. Blake, you can commence with your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Cammie, Cammy, Wilmore, Willmore.
Where are you
Look
currently
at you spelling the witnesses'
I am
names
currently
right.
a Fremont County Advanced
Yeah.
EMT, and also I am a administrative assistant at our seminary, the CES.
How long have you been an EMT?
I was a technical writer.
At this point, about
past
14
life,
years.
So I hope so.
And as an EMT, are you trained in life-saving measures?
Yes,
And are you trained in responding to emergency medical situations?
yes,
Prior to being employed as an EMT, did you work in the medical field?
Yes, I was a medical assistant for about 40 years.
John Thomas shops at Dollar General for everything.
Fremont County in 2019.
Yes.
Do you recall when you were asked or when you became the deputy coroner?
Including his boxers.
I think it was March is when I started in 2019.
Wait.
Deodorant.
What are some of the duties of a deputy coroner?
Wait, she's a deputy coroner.
I will
Yeah,
go
got it
on
wrong.
calls when the coroner is not available or close to him. I live in St. Anthony, so I would respond to ones in that area where she's up living farther away, and go in and assess the body, announce time of death, try to gather information of why the person was deceased, medical history, that kind of thing.
And as a deputy coroner, do you respond out to unattended deaths?
Yes.
And what is an unattended death?
That's where they haven't been under, like on hospice or currently under a doctor's care, where somebody was not with them when they passed away. They were found deceased.
It's the defense attorney. The defense attorney that I cannot stand.
Scenes where someone ended up dying or was already dead as an EMT?
Yes.
And did you end up responding out to the report of an unattended death on October 19th of 2019?
Yes, I did.
Prior to responding out to that death, do you know approximately how many deaths you had responded out to in your capacity as a deputy coroner?
I was fairly new, so I think about 5. I'd gone on a few training ones, but my own was about 5.
And out of those deaths that you've responded to as a deputy coroner, had you ever responded to a death which was determined to be caused by asphyxiation?
No.
When you responded out to the unattended death on October 19th of 2019, did you learn who the decedent was?
Yes.
And who was that?
Tammy Daybell.
Had you heard her name before?
I had not.
When you arrived on scene, who else was present?
Chad Daybell and officer from St. Anthony Alley is how I knew her.
And did you end up making any observations regarding Chad Daybell?
Yes, when I walked in, he was distraught, appropriately so, just saying that he found his wife dead, and I noticed that he was distraught.
Did you make any observations regarding Garth Daybell?
Not at that time. He wasn't in the room when I first came in.
Do you gather information from individuals on scene as part of looking into the unattended death?
Yes.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes.
Did you ask Chad Daybell about the circumstances surrounding the death of his wife?
Yes, I did.
What did he tell you?
He told me that about midnight that Tammy had gotten sick, coughing and gotten sick, and gone to the bathroom and was vomiting. And he went in there with her and then came back to bed. She was okay, came back to bed, said she was okay, and then they had gone to bed. And he proceeded to tell me that she was in menopause and that she liked to sleep with her leg outside of the bed. And he felt like that's what she had been doing that night, that her leg had been outside of the bed. And he said that
and he doesn't have a
they'd fallen
dog.
asleep. And then later on, he felt like he might have moved or rolled in the bed, and he heard her fall out of the bed. And he got up, and she was out of the bed with her head and body down, and like one leg twisted in the blankets. And she was cold and not breathing at that time.
And when you were asked to respond out, was there any indication as to whether or not an ambulance was being requested?
I did not think there was an ambulance coming because I was called by our coroner. She got the call, and then she called me and said, "Hey, can you go? You're 10 miles away. You can get there quicker than I can." And she said that she would be coming.
And it was described to you as Tammy was already deceased?
Yes. That's what I thought. I was told she was a death.
Amos
Yes.
did 5 membership.
Thank you.
Whether or not Tammy's body had been moved prior to your arrival?
Yes, he said that he'd gotten Garth, and that's the first time I had heard that. He'd gotten him to come in, and they had put her back on the bed. So she was not on the floor when I got there.
And did he describe how she'd fallen out of bed, if it was her whole body or part of it?
The leg thing, I think that was what he was trying to say to me about her leg hanging out, because he said that just one, like I recall, like a leg was twisted in the blanket so that she was, I pictured like hanging kind of with her head and part of her body on the ground. But I'm not positive that that's what he meant.
But he didn't indicate the whole body had fallen out from your recollection?
Yeah, yes, I don't recall that.
Did you end up actually going in to observe the body?
Yes.
And did you in fact observe her body that day?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask to publish part of State's Exhibit 295 again.
You may do so. It's been admitted.
This is giving me life. This
Counsel's benefit. I'm
all
295.
on this stuff.
Does that appear to be what you observed when you first arrived?
As much as I can remember, yes.
As part of your job as a deputy coroner, do you end up examining or looking at the body?
Yes, we do.
Do you recall if you made any specific observations regarding Tammy's body?
Yes, the first thing that has stuck with me the whole time is when I came in, she had this foam coming out of her mouth, quite a bit of foam. And I remember thinking that was odd. Oh. And she then touching her and feeling her that she was obviously had been deceased for a little while because she was very cold and she had the rigor set in.
Which makes it even worse that he pretended to be upset.
When you talk about rigor, could you describe a little bit what you mean by that?
Like that whole fake call.
After a bit of time, different parts become stiff, and her legs were out, and so that showed to me that it had been a little while because they weren't just hanging limp like when you first pass away. Different parts of the body, and depending on temperature of the room and the condition of the person, there's different time frames. So can't really say exactly how long, but she had been I would say a few hours probably.
And do you recall approximately when you arrived on scene?
I got the call at 6 a.m. I remember, so I figured it was maybe 35 minutes later, 6:35, 6:40, something like that.
And you would have estimated her to have been dead before 6 a.m.?
Yes, yes.
And would you believe she would have been dead before 5:30 a.m.?
I would.
After those initial observations, did you observe anything else about the body that caught your attention?
I was looking, because you kind of want to look. She was 49, so I was like, this is unusual because she's not that old. So I was kind of looking for things like on her neck or bruising, scratches, those kind of things. And I observed just some bruising on a bicep, I think with her right arm and forearm, but they didn't look new. They looked more like an older bruise. I didn't notice anything weird that way. I mean, maybe her color was normal for being deceased.
And with the bruises, did you do any additional testing to determine when those would have been inflicted?
No, not at that time. I did not do anything.
Did you notice anything regarding Tammy's face?
Besides the foam? No.
And when you talk about the foam, does that appear to be what you observed that day?
Yeah, and that's they get like a pink frothy foam, like a bleeding. That's what I assumed that to be, like some blood. There's some. I don't know if you.
Ms. Blake, for the record, what exhibit was just published?
I apologize, Your Honor. It is 295E.
Okay, thank you.
And you were saying with the pink foam?
Yeah, in my knowledge, I was thinking of things like congestive heart failure, something that I know that maybe could cause that with the pink frothing. And so my mind kind of went to that, and I was thinking that she's looking for things like swelling and things that would go with that, but I didn't see any other signs with that.
And did that pink foam, had you ever been to a death scene where you had seen that before?
I had not.
Did it cause you some concern?
It did. It caused me enough concern that I got my phone and I actually looked at poisoning, and I looked at foam from a dead person. I looked at poisoning just because I thought it was weird and I had not seen that before.
And with regard to her face, I asked if you'd noticed anything else. At any point, did you see any kind of an injury to her head that would be consistent with hitting a nightstand?
I did not.
At some point, did anyone else arrive on scene?
Yes, then Brenda Dye, our coroner, came on scene, and I was new, like I've said, and so I kind of deferred to her when she came in on scene.
And I guess I should ask, prior to her arrival, did you ask Chad about Tammy's health?
Yes, I did. I was trying to get a history. Had she been ill? Has anything happened? And he said that she'd had low blood pressure, hypotension, and she'd had a few little bits of feeling dizzy, lightheaded. And that was all he told me. He did say for the last month she acted like she hadn't felt well, maybe like a little clumsy. And so I began asking about like medications, because having worked in the medical field, I kind of can take medication and relate it to an illness. And so I was asking about that. And she said that she didn't really go to a doctor much. And I noticed right away on her nightstand, there was like a homeopathic natural remedy book. And so I was like, oh, does she do this kind of thing for her health? And he said, yeah, she did the homeopathic type stuff. And so again, my mind kind of went, oh, she maybe had something bad and didn't go to a doctor.
Did you end up looking at medications, whether herbal or over the counter or
Yes.
prescription?
Yes, that's part of our job. And I asked to see medications, and they took me out into another room, like the kitchen, off the living room kitchen area was a cupboard. And I looked, and there was herbs and vitamins and natural type remedies in there. No medications that I could see to correspond with a medical illness that I was familiar with.
Did Chad indicate with regard to the fainting, or I think you said that she would kind of feel dizzy,
lightheaded.
Did he indicate if she'd seen a doctor for that?
He said no. Like, I asked him that specifically. Like, does she go to the doctor for any of that? And he said no, she didn't like to go to doctors.
And with regard to the indication of the low blood pressure, did he say whether or not that had been medically diagnosed?
No. And no.
And when you're on scene at these unattended deaths, do you have the benefit of reviewing medical charts or medical reports?
No.
Are you generally relying on information provided from family members with regard to health?
Yes.
And is that in fact what you did in this case?
Yes.
And that information was provided by Chad Daybell?
Yes.
And you said when the coroner arrived on scene, you were still present?
Yes.
At some point, was a further examination done of Tammy's body on scene?
Yes, I think Brenda did a little bit more. There's two of us, and so I think I had gone out to look at medications. She was still in there talking. Now she's questioning him and talking and getting different, her report from it.
And when you say him, was that Chad Daybell?
Yeah, that was Chad Daybell.
And you said when Brenda arrived on scene, you deferred to her and she took over?
Yes.
As part of your job, do you end up determining whether or not an autopsy should be conducted?
As a deputy coroner, I would if I was the only one on the coroner wasn't there. But as the coroner was there, that would not be my responsibility.
Were you involved in a conversation regarding whether or not to conduct an autopsy?
Yes.
And at the conclusion, was an autopsy requested at that time?
No.
Do you know if Chad Daybell requested to have an autopsy performed?
He did not want one. That was asked. Well, as we were discussing it, he was asked, and he said no.
Based on the observations you made at that time and the information provided to you, did you have concerns or questions regarding Tammy's death?
I did, and the two factors were her age and this foam.
Could there be a medical explanation, as far as you know, to explain the foam outside of some kind of foul play?
At that time, I didn't know of any. I have since looked. I looked up stuff just because I wanted to know. And there were some things that were mentioned, that I've read about that there could be, I don't know if exactly like what I saw, but some foam.
That's in style now.
At the time you responded out, do you also rely on external information if it's provided to you or if you know it?
Yes.
Had you ever heard the name JJ Vallow?
I had not.
Had you ever heard the name Tylee Ryan?
No.
Had you heard the name Alex Cox?
No.
Had you heard the name Lori Vallow?
I had not.
Have you since heard of those names associated with Chad Daybell?
Yes.
If you had had any of that information at the time, do you believe—
I'll object, Your Honor. We're speculating here.
Sustained.
One moment, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Blake. Cross-examination.
5 stars. Recommend.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wilmore. That'll conclude your testimony.
Doing this.
This trial is this witness to be released from any subpoena?
This is 10
This
stars.
would request you be released, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay. That'll conclude your appearance at court then. The bailiff will assist you in leaving the courtroom. Thank you for your testimony today.
Hearing that and knowing that he called and fake cried makes me want to punch him. He's, oh my God, I'm so upset that my wife is.
Your Honor, I'm happy to call the next witness and get started, but I would anticipate she'll be a little longer than what I think the court had intended to break.
Oh my God, Dean Sparks.
Okay, why don't we go for 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll take that late morning break.
And the state will call Brenda Dye.
John Thomas's wallet has Velcro on it. This John Thomas stuff is making Chart Lady cult leader's heart pump a little faster.
After
There you go. JT is a new one.
I got her.
You got her. Lorelei, I'm glad that it cheered you up. It cheers me up. That's what I love about this chat because it cheers me up too.
Inquire of the witness. Have you reviewed in any way any of the trial testimony in this case by either attending any of the simulcast locations or watching it online or listening to it or reading about it in any way?
No.
Okay, thank you for that response.
Oh my God.
Question, please.
Big Daddy.
Phone, make verbal responses to any answers and try to avoid
Yada.
He only uses 2. He can't even get that right.
You can inquire on your direct examination.
Thank you. Would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Brenda Dye, last name D-Y-E.
Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed in Fremont County as the county coroner and Fremont County EMS.
And talking about your employment as an EMS, how long have you been employed as an EMT or an EMS?
I've been an EMT for 5 years and advanced EMT for 20 years.
As part of your EMT training, are you trained in life-saving techniques?
Yes, I am.
Are you also trained in responding to emergency medical situations?
Yes.
And you indicated that you're also employed as a deputy, or excuse me, as the coroner for Fremont County?
Yes.
Is that an elected position?
Yes.
Do you recall when you took office?
I was elected in 2018. I took office January 2019.
When you took office as a coroner, did you end up going to any training?
Yes.
What was that?
I did a week-long coroner school in Las Vegas, Nevada. I also did a spring training in Boise here in Ada County.
Had you been employed anywhere previously as a coroner?
No.
What are some of your duties as a coroner?
As a coroner, I respond to all unattended deaths. I make sure the bodies get to the correct facility, the funeral home. I conduct investigations, and I'm the one that certifies the cause of death and signs off on the death certificate.
I don't know why I'm still drinking that.
And when you say unattended death, what do you mean by that?
Somebody who is not directly under a doctor's care.
And as a coroner, do you respond out to all unattended deaths in Fremont County?
Yes, I do. And if I'm not available, I do have a couple of deputy coroners that help me out.
Do you recall responding to a report of an unattended death on the morning of October 19th, 2019?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when you responded?
It was just before 6 a.m., I believe, or thereafter, shortly thereafter.
And when you say around 6 a.m., is that when the call was reported or the death was reported?
It was reported approximately 5:45 in the morning.
We're glad you're here, Kiki.
And prior to you responding out, did anyone else respond?
Yes.
Who was that?
I called my deputy coroner, Tammy Wilmore, to respond. She was closer than I was. When dispatch called me, the reporting party was very upset and distraught, so I had my deputy coroner go so she could beat me there on scene. And also there was an officer on scene.
And you had requested specifically the deputy coroner respond out based on the description of the decedent's husband?
Yes.
Thank you, Polly Percy Pants. Thank you.
And is it possible that your arrival was closer to 7 a.m.?
I read the message.
I'll object, Your Honor. Leading.
It is leading. Sustained.
He'll never know.
To be clear, when you arrived on scene, your deputy coroner was already there?
Yes.
And if she had been there at 6:30, you would have arrived after that?
I'll object, Your Honor. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
When you arrived on scene, did you make any initial observations regarding Chad Daybell?
Yes.
And what were those observations?
He was clearly distraught, upset, crying that his wife was deceased.
As part of your job as a coroner, are you also looking at the scene?
Yes.
Are you gathering information from individuals on scene?
Yes.
When you first entered into the residence, were there any observations of the scene that caused you concern?
No.
At some point, were you led to where Tammy's body was?
Yes.
Do you recall who told you where her body was located?
I believe it was my deputy coroner, Wilmore.
And prior to going back to look at Tammy's body, did you have any discussions with anyone?
Yes.
And who was that?
I had a discussion with Deputy Coroner Wilmore and Officer Greenhall in the kitchen of the house.
And do you know when you arrived if Tammy's body had been moved?
Yes.
Do you know who had moved her body?
Yes, Chad and Garth.
Yes. How did you learn that they had moved her body?
They stated that they had picked her up off the floor and put her back in bed.
And when you say they, did both Chad and Garth tell you that?
Yes.
Be safe.
Did Chad provide any additional information regarding how Tammy ended up on the floor?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He said he felt her move off the bed, fall off the bed. And when he woke up, he touched her and she was cold to the touch. He then yelled for his son, Garth, whose room was across the hall. And the both of them picked her up off the floor and put her back in bed.
Do you recall if he indicated approximately when that would have been?
Before 6 a.m. that morning.
Did he tell you anything else surrounding the circumstances of Tammy's death?
Yes, he stated the night before she had a coughing fit and threw up, and him and Garth saw her throw up in the toilet. She flushed it. He, as in Chad, helped her back to bed, and she stated that she was okay, and he then went back to sleep.
Yeah, makes sense, right? She
And
rolled
outside
off
of
the bed
Chad,
dead.
do you know if her body had been moved by the officer or the deputy coroner at that time?
No.
He's an
And had
idiot.
it been moved?
No.
I asked it. I think I asked a compound question, so I was just trying to be clear.
I don't know if I heard that. Did you hear
Your Honor,
that?
I would ask to be able to publish some of State's
I
Exhibit
did
of
do that.
295, the first one being 295A.
You can publish it.
After it happened,
And
but
looking
not
at that photo, is that an accurate depiction of what you saw when you first arrived?
Yes.
not like
And
helped him kill her or anything. Just
after gathering the information from Chad, did you make observations of Tammy's body yourself?
Yes.
And what were some of the observations that you ended up making?
Just by looking at her walking through the door, she had some blood-tinged sputum coming from her mouth, and she was covered in blankets.
Your Honor, I would next publish State's 295E.
Okay.
When you talk about the blood-tinged sputum, is that what we're seeing in this photo here?
Yes.
Do you recall at the time you responded out to this, to the death of Tammy Daybell, how many deaths you'd responded out to as a deputy coroner?
oh, that's a good point. That's a
Approximately,
really good point, Miranda Lee.
to the best of your knowledge, were any of those deaths determined to be death by asphyxiation?
No.
Had you responded out to scenes as an EMT in which you had seen something similar to this sputum?
Yes.
Which doesn't make sense because you can't bruise after
Had you seen it very many times previous to this?
post-mortem, I believe, because there's no more blood circulation, right? But he probably didn't know that.
And
That's
with regard
actually a
to
really
that
good point.
sputum, was anything done? Your Honor, this is State's Exhibit 295B.
This is huge. This needs to happen.
Yes, that towel sitting next
More
to the bed on
training
that
on this.
mat. It's a kitchen hand towel, and Chad had been wiping her face with that towel.
And did Chad tell you that?
Yes,
Did you also do anything with that towel?
I did. I wiped it away to see if it stopped coming out.
Dean.
And when I wiped it, then there was still blood-tinged sputum after I wiped.
Did you make other observations with regard to Tammy's body?
I agree, Miranda Lee.
After I questioned Chad, he left the room, and Deputy Coroner Wilmore and Officer Greenhall helped me. We uncovered the body, took the blankets off, and did our investigation. We did notice a bruise on her right arm, I believe. And when we rolled her, she had lividity in her back and backside.
And when you talk about lividity, what do you mean by that?
Lividity is the blood pooling at the lowest point of the body once the heart stops beating and the blood stops circulating.
Your Honor, I would publish 295G.
Very well.
And when you talk about removing the blankets from the body, is this an accurate depiction of what you would
Lividity
have observed?
becomes
Yes.
Perceptible
And you
within 3 to
indicated
4
that
hours.
lividity you observed would have been on the backside.
Yes.
I would publish 295F.
You may.
Oh, God. Oh. Oh.
And I don't know if you can see it that well on the big screen. You may be able to see it better on your screen. When you talk about the bruising, can you see that in this
Are
photo
you
at all?
saying you're a vice homicide
A
social
little bit
worker?
on the right arm.
And were you able to make a determination regarding when you believed those bruises would have been inflicted?
Thank you,
Not
Joe
an
Pickle.
exact
Thank
determination.
you.
We thought
Yeah, object, Your Honor, to foundation.
I'll sustain that. I think there needs to be additional foundation for that testimony.
I will ask it this way. Did you do any kind of assessment on scene to determine the how old those bruises may have been?
yes.
Yeah,
And-
I'll object, Your Honor. I don't think she's qualified to make that determination.
The foundation you laid when related to her experience as an EMT over the years stated that I didn't hear any additional information that would indicate she's qualified to give that opinion. So if it is there, Ms. Blake, you could inquire with further foundation.
I'd like him even less.
As part of your investigation while you were on scene, did you
Aw.
ask for more information regarding Tammy's health?
Yes.
And did he in fact provide that?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
He said that she had been feeling really off lately, like she wasn't in her body, that she had had some syncopal episodes, which is fainting. One specific time was at the temple as she was kneeling at the altar. When she went to stand up, she passed out on the floor. He also stated she had very low blood pressure. So I asked if she had seen a doctor for that or been treated for that. He said that she didn't go to doctors very often. She tried to treat everything naturally with oils and natural supplements. He said that she had fallen a few times by the syncopal episodes.
Do you recall if he told you anything about Tammy having shaking fits?
Yes, when I observed the blood tinged, the pink sputum coming from her mouth, I started to question what that could be from. I asked if she had any seizure-like activity when she had the syncopal episodes. He did say that when she had those episodes, her legs would shake and she did have some convulsions.
And did he tell you about the shaking fits prior to you mentioning seizures?
No.
So he continued to provide additional information based on things you would mention?
Yes.
Welcome to the cult, Kyle.
I muted it because I keep sneezing. Welcome, Kyle. Thank you for joining.
Do you
I'm allergic
recall
to
if
one of
he
y'all.
mentioned anything regarding Tammy going through
Sneezing.
menopause?
Yes, he stated that she liked to sleep on the edge of the bed with her legs outside of the covers because she was having hot flashes.
Okay, well, I've done that since I was little
Getting
bitty.
sick in the night. Did he indicate who had gone in the bathroom with her?
Kyle gifted a member.
Oh, thank you, Kyle.
Her throwing up.
That fondue.
Thank you, Kyle.
And talking about the lividity, do you recall if you observed it anywhere else on her body besides her back?
It was only in her backside, so which indicates she was on her back at the time of her death.
It is. I'm allergic to John Thomas. That's what's making me sneeze.
How Tammy had been feeling in the month before her death?
Yes, that she was just feeling very off behind.
Thank you, Annie.
Slower and the fainting spells. And she did have a fall outside and hurt her wrist. She did get an x-ray on that just to make sure it wasn't broken and stated that it was just a sprain and the doctor had given her tramadol. And when I looked for the tramadol, he stated that she had taken it all, which there was no pill bottle found on scene.
Do you recall him also making a statement that she feels like she's outside her body?
Yes.
And did he tell you that she'd indicated that to him being Chad?
Yes.
When you respond to the unattended deaths, do you have the benefit of having the decedent's medical records in front of you?
I don't.
And when you respond to the scene, is it ultimately up to you to determine a cause of death?
Yes.
I get that, law nerd Amber. I do get that.
With determining the manner of death at that time.
Yes.
Still can't stand them.
Were you relying?
Inappropriate.
Actually, I will back up. Judge, if I can publish 295G again.
This will be, the John Thomas stuff will be on the WTF moments on Sunday. I can
Looking at
guarantee
this
you.
photo, do you notice anything with regard to the mattress?
It has been a highlight of my week.
Off the box springs?
Because I am not a fan.
Chad told
In
you
case y'all
anything
didn't
as to
know.
why the box springs?
No.
And at this point in time, did you move the mattress yourself?
No.
This
Hey,
would have been an
Casey,
accurate depiction
Dale.
of how the mattress was.
Yes.
When you were doing your observation of Tammy, did you, I'm going to publish 295A, please.
Okay, we're only 8 away from 200 memberships.
During your observations and exam of Tammy, did you notice any head injuries?
Oh.
That's
No.
crazy. We
Did
are
you notice
8 away
any
from
extra
200.
bleeding
Oh,
with the
Miranda
head on
Lee
a
just get
nightstand?
to 5.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Miranda Lee.
Is, as the coroner, is it ultimately up to you to determine whether or not an autopsy should be conducted?
Casey O'Dell,
Yes,
Jimmy
I consult
Lawson,
with our
Chelsea,
detectives, and sometimes I
Indy,
consult
Cindy, and
with
Kiki. Oh, yay.
the mortician, the funeral directors.
And
That
did you
means
do
now we're
that?
only 3 away. We're 3 away from 200. That's insane on the
Based
second night.
You knew in your observations, was anything suspicious to you regarding this scene at the time?
Insane. Insane.
Did you find anything suspicious
In the
as to the
membrane.
description of Tammy's body falling out of bed?
In the membrane.
Linda Lee just gifted 5.
Luke, get to 5.
I asked
Linda Hill, Annie,
if she could fall out of bed if she
Pierre,
was
Deanna,
and
Ismail, Caddy Joyful Heart. Oh my gosh, that puts us at 200. Oh my gosh.
His response was that it was because her legs were wrapped in the sheet.
No,
Oh.
he had told me that her legs were wrapped in a sheet, that her head had fallen off the side of the bed, and her left side of the
She
body
just
was
did
hanging
another
off.
5.
And we asked how that could happen if she was already deceased.
Did Chad provide a response or an answer?
He did. He said he must have pulled the top sheet when he rolled over in his sleep, releasing her because she liked to sleep on the edge of the bed.
And when you responded, did you notice any signs of rigor
Thank y'all.
mortis?
Oh my gosh, we hit 200.
What is rigor mortis?
After the body has been dead for approximately 2 to 6 hours, then rigor mortis starts to set in and the body just becomes stiff.
And were you able to estimate or determine a time of death?
I estimated the time of death between 12:30 a.m. and 2 o'clock a.m. Based on rigor mortis and the lividity and the temperature of her body. The abdomen was cold to the touch, which is the last place that stays warm.
I've
and it was
almost
cold to the touch when I arrived.
gifted 5.
Would you, based on your estimation,
I'll give it
Kyle, there's another.
You didn't die until after 5:30 a.m.
That's another one, Kyle. Oh my gosh. Thank y'all.
At the time that you're making a determination whether or not to have an autopsy conducted, are you considering the information available to you?
Yes.
And your observations on scene?
Yes.
And ultimately, in this case, you determined to not have an autopsy conducted.
Correct. After consulting with Detective
Thank y'all.
and Officer Greenhall and Deputy Coroner Wilmore.
Ugh.
Did Chad request an autopsy?
No.
Did he make any indication to you regarding the autopsy?
No.
Do you issue a death certificate? Or, excuse me, do you issue death certificates?
I sign off on them.
So you sign off on them to be submitted to the state?
Yes, on the cause of death, yes.
Did you, in fact, do that on a death certificate for Tamara Daybell?
Yes.
Do you recall what you indicated the cause of death to be?
Cause was pulmonary edema.
Thank you.
Due to syncopal episode with seizure-like activity.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the manner natural.
Look, Geraldine's got the idea.
Excuse me. Was that based in large part on information Chad Daybell provided you?
Yes, and also a daughter.
It's working.
And do you know if an autopsy was ultimately performed on Tamara Daybell?
Yes, it was.
Do you know if there was an exhumation?
Yes.
Did you in fact attend the exhumation?
Yes.
Did you also attend the autopsy?
Yes.
Do you know who conducted the autopsy?
A medical examiner from the Utah morgue.
And you didn't.
Crystal M just gives another 5. Thank
And
you.
Your Honor, I'm just looking at the time. I'm not sure when the court wanted to break.
I think it would be a good point if you're still working through direct.
I still have some additional questions, so.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. We'll take a second break here. That'll be the last break of the day. We do have something for the jurors, so it'll probably be 40 minutes or so.
I swear I don't normally cry this much, but I'm just so like.
No, she's usually just yelling at me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
It's so much easier than crying.
Please be seated.
Crystal, did Crystal just give 5? If I didn't call it out, sorry, but I'm calling it out again.
I did, but I'm crying, so you might not have
We can have the witness brought back and also
heard me. I'm Crystal and get another. I can't. Thank y'all. I can't even speak. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
We're both gonna fall on the floor crying. That's what's gonna happen.
I was hoping for 5 last night, and this has been Holly Berry keeps giving them over and over. Holly Berry, you're so supportive.
Well,
thank you.
I want to say this too. For those of you who gift, if people don't receive the gift, you do get refunded that gift that doesn't get received. So don't worry if you don't see anybody pick it up. I just want to let you know that because, you know. Amy, welcome to the cult. Anybody welcome to the cult? Oh, Julie said time for another cork.
Yes, I'm already drunk, but let me go see. I'm sure I have a bottle. One hasn't been opened because that's 200. That's a whole nother thing. I'll be back.
Okay, we're back on the record on CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. Ms. Blake is continuing direct examination of the witness, Brenda Dye. I'll remind the witness you're still under oath for your testimony. Ms. Blake, if you'd like to continue to inquire at this time, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Dye, I was going to back up just a little bit.
I'm still working on
when
that.
you responded out, you said, and I just want to clarify with you, did you mention syncopal episodes or did Chad?
Chad mentioned it in the temple instance.
And again, what are syncopal episodes?
Fainting.
And did Chad use the term fainting to describe it?
Yes.
And then the medical terminology that you know would be syncopal?
Yes.
But he did not talk about the shaking fits until you mentioned seizure-like activity?
Yes, correct.
And Your Honor, I'm going to ask to publish 295J. It's previously admitted.
Very well, you may publish it.
And in this photo, we can see that pink sputum that you talked about. And again, just kind of backing up, you said that it had seemed odd to you that someone deceased would have fallen out of the bed, and you discussed that with Chad, correct?
Yes.
Based on his description to you, again, which part of the body did he describe as having fallen out of bed?
Her head and upper left side of her body.
And when you look at this photo and you can see some stuff draining down her face, would that be consistent with someone being on their back?
Yes.
If she had actually fallen out of bed, would you have expected to see that dripping somewhere else or the flow going a different direction?
Yes. Yeah. It is a little bit to the left. Just depending on how her head was tilted is what direction it would flow.
Yes. So depending on how she'd fallen out of bed, that would control the flow.
Yes.
But would this flow be consistent with someone laying on their back as well?
It looks to be more to the left than running down mid chin.
And again, on that photo, that was a condition that the sputum and the flow was in at the time you arrived.
Yes.
And you did indicate Chad said he had been wiping it. Do you know if he'd wiped it prior to your arrival?
Yes, because when I grabbed the towel, it had residue on it, the blood.
So you're unaware if this was the condition that Chad first found her in? as far as where the blood
unaware.
in the sputum was?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And we talked
Poor
about that
lady,
you
like-
attended an autopsy that was performed at the office of the Utah Medical Examiner, or performed by them.
Yes,
Were you able to be present for the duration of the autopsy?
yes,
Does a medical examiner do a much more extensive exam of the body than you were able to do on scene?
yes, much more extensive.
Do you know if the medical examiner had more information from external sources than you had at the time you responded?
Yes.
And I'll object, Your Honor, that the only way she can answer that is through hearsay.
Give me just a second. I just want to overrule that objection.
Okay.
And I think you already
200.
answered, the answer is yes.
Yes.
428.
Hold on. Keep that up.
Do you know what the findings of the medical examiner were?
Yes.
Put it up.
What did they find the manner of death to be?
Asphyxiation suffocation.
And was that the cause or the manner?
That was the cause.
Do you know what they determined the manner to be?
Manner was homicide.
So they determined the manner to be homicide
Yes.
and the cause to be asphyxiation?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to refute the findings of that autopsy?
No.
And at the time you responded out on October 19th, had you ever heard the name Lori Vallow?
No.
Had you heard the name Tylee Ryan?
No.
Had you heard the name JJ Vallow?
No.
Had you heard the name Alex Cox?
No.
Had you heard any connection that those individuals may have to Chad Daybell?
No.
I'll object, Your Honor, this witness does not know that.
My question was if she was aware of any connection they had to Chad Daybell.
Yeah, that's overruled.
When you are conducting your assessment or evaluation at an unattended death, do you consider external information
Yes.
if it's available to you?
Yes.
If you had had the information available to the medical examiner, do you believe that that would have changed your opinion at the time?
I'll object, Your Honor, speculation.
I'll sustain that objection.
I can have just a moment.
You may.
I've missed everything else said the last couple minutes.
Ms. Dye, based on the information that you learned from the medical examiner and attending the autopsy, do you intend to modify the death certificate in this case?
Yes.
I'm going to catch up.
And what would you be changing the death certificate for Tamara Daybell to reflect?
Cause of death, asphyxiation, the manner of death, homicide.
I have no further
Cool.
questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blake. Cross-examination?
Asphyxiation and homicide. There are so many emotions happening that are counter to, like, they're just.
They haven't changed the death certificate yet for Tamara Daybell?
No.
Is there a reason why?
Pending investigation or
So it's still being investigated?
pending trial.
So what's going to change here at trial for the death certificate? Are you waiting to see if it's true?
Thank you.
No, it will be changed.
So there's no reason to change the death certificate after the trial. You're just waiting to see what happens.
When I spoke with Vital
Look at the
Statistics,
other screen,
they
Brandi.
told me that it's pending until I change it.
Okay.
I love y'all.
And so a lot of
I'm catching up. I'm not a drunk crier. I've
October
been
19th,
crying even when I'm not. Like tonight's the only night I've been drunk.
Did the time of death change?
I'm
You
just
had
so
initially estimated
blown
time
away.
of
I can't.
between 12:30 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. Is that right?
Can't believe
And so did that change?
any of this.
No.
And you initially estimated cause of death to be natural. Is that right?
Not cause. The cause is initially or
Yes, initially.
Initially, the cause was pulmonary edema.
And what does that mean?
It means the lungs, edema in the lungs, which causes the blood tinged sputum to come out.
Okay. So from what you observed on October 19th, 2019, that has changed now due to someone else's opinion, right?
After the autopsy, yes, it's changed.
Okay. And did that also change because of what detectives were telling you? Or was that strictly a change because of the medical opinion?
Because of the medical examiner, who is a doctor who performed the autopsy.
Okay. So you were considering doing an autopsy on October 19th, is that right?
We had discussed it, yes.
And you had discussed it with your deputy and the officer on scene, is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And did you also discuss it with Chad Daybell?
You both.
Yes, I did mention it to him that there may be an autopsy.
And what was his response?
He didn't deem it necessary at that time. I told him if we felt it necessary, we would do an autopsy.
How about Chad Daybell's, Tamara Daybell's children? Were they there also?
Yes.
And did they want an autopsy conducted?
Emma, the daughter, was very adamant about not having an autopsy done.
And
Thank you,
that
Amber
makes
and
sense.
T.
Why she was adamant about that?
You've been live
Yes.
streaming for
Okay.
2.5
And
weeks.
what about another child?
Garth was also on scene. He did not voice his opinion.
So Chad and Emma, Chad and Tammy's daughter, asked you, please don't do an autopsy.
They didn't deem it necessary. Emma was against it because of the extent of, she didn't want that done to her mom.
And so is it fair to say that you believed Chad's version of events of what happened to Tammy Daybell?
On scene at that time, yes, after discussing with Deputy Coroner and Officer Greenhall.
Chad Daybell convinced you and your deputy and the officer that nothing bad happened. Is that right?
Concluding our investigation, that's what we ultimately decided.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have anything else.
All right, thank you, Mr. Archibald. Any redirect?
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Can we be released from subpoena?
We would request that she be released.
Any objection? All right, I'll conclude your testimony. Thank you. The bailiff will help escort you out of the courtroom.
Yeah, I was hoping to have 10 memberships.
That's a yes. One second.
I was hoping to have 10 memberships.
Yep. Our goals were.
Now that the witness has been sworn, let me just inquire. Have you viewed or listened to or read any of the trial testimony?
No, I'm not.
All right, thank you for that. I'll remind you to please make verbal responses to any questions that you're asked so we can keep a clear record and try to avoid speaking at the same time as anyone questioning you as well. Keep that in mind. If you'd like to inquire on direct, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Would you please state your name and spell your name for the record?
My name is Spencer Cook, SpencerCook.
And where are you currently employed?
I'm employed for the Sugar Salem School District.
What are some of your job duties with the Sugar Salem School District?
I am the technology director for the school district, so I'm in charge of all the computers, servers, and website, email
Thank you, Holly Berry.
system.
I think you mentioned as part of your duties that you help maintain the school district email.
Yes, I do.
And what is the email system that the school district uses?
We use Gmail or Google Suite.
Are the emails stored somewhere to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are stored in two different places. The mailbox that the user has access to, and then an archives email that only my team has access to.
Okay. So that's how emails are stored in that
It
system?
is stored in Google Cloud, yes.
Okay. Were you working for the school district in April 2021?
Yes, I was.
Were you contacted by someone with the Fremont County Sheriff's Office regarding the email for Tammy Daybell?
Yes, I was.
And to your knowledge, was Tammy Daybell an employee of the Sugar Salem School
You don't
District?
have to.
She was a Sugar Salem School District.
Okay. And
Thank
do you know what?
y'all so much.
She was the librarian at the elementary school.
Yeah,
and also the teacher.
I forgot we had a
So
new
what type
person.
of email did Tammy have with the school district?
All employees are
Thanks,
given a
Life.
school district email, and it has access year round. And it was an employee account basically.
What time period did law enforcement request that you look at for Tammy's email?
It was June 29th.
And do you recall how many emails Tammy received for the week of June 29th, 2019?
Yeah, she received 36 emails.
Do you know if of those 36 emails, did Tammy save any emails?
There were several that were deleted off of her account. I think there were 6 emails that were saved.
Okay. And you mentioned that the employees of the school district have access to their email all year round?
Correct.
And are they expected to check in over the summer?
Yeah, we expect or try to have emails checked on a weekly basis during the summertime.
Okay. How active would you say Tammy was with the school email over the summer?
I would say she's active.
Thank
And
you
how-
all so much. The fact that y'all are
Very
here and
literate
there's
in what she did. She was very self-sufficient. As the computer teacher, I provided resources and help to her for different classes that she was teaching. But most of the things that she did on her own. And so after I gave her her initial direction, she took it on her own and was able to do things.
Tammy was a
minimal help.
teacher, right?
Were
And
you
this guy
able to
worked
find
with
any emails
Tammy?
from a Charles
Or
Vallow to a Tammy?
Lori?
Yes, there was
No,
an email
Tammy.
that we received.
How did you search for that email?
She's
Well, in
special ed secretary.
there when we
Special
searched
ed
her
secretary.
account, it was not in her inbox. It was in her deleted items.
How would a Gmail user block an email address?
Thank you.
If
And
you open up the email, there's 3 dots in the top right.
oh my
And you
god.
click email.
Do you know whether that happened with the Charles Vallow email address?
Yes, it was.
How did you find out that Tammy's work email had blocked Charles Vallow's email address?
Inside of the account, you can go to the blocked email address list, and that was the only email that was listed as a blocked.
And do you recall the date that email was sent
I believe it was June 29th,
in the year?
2019.
Thank you.
And how many emails did Charles send to Tammy's work email?
Just the one email.
Okay. And I think you mentioned, were there any other email addresses that had been blocked from Tammy's email?
There were no other emails that were blocked. And if there was an email, it would have been rejected.
Thank y'all so much.
Have any other questions?
I'm so.
All right, Ms. Rawlings. Any cross
I'm so glad
examination?
y'all are here.
I don't have
Oh
any.
my gosh.
Okay. Your testimony then, Mr. Cook. You can be excused. Is he under subpoena and can he be released if so?
Yes, we would ask that he be released.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, you can be released from your subpoena. Thank you for your testimony.
I can't speak.
You can call it next witness.
Let's see, we'll be calling Kelsey Harris.
I'll translate. Thank you.
Your Honor, Spencer.
I wanted to hit 10 memberships. People don't cry like this on YouTube.
We do. And that's okay.
I'm just so blown away. I wanted to have 10 by the time we ended the week.
All right, now that the witness is sworn, let me just inquire, have you observed, read, or listened to any of the trial testimony in this case?
Yeah, Angie, I have no idea what's going on now.
While you're being questioned, please speak into the microphone, use verbal responses to any questions, and try to avoid speaking at the same time as anyone questioning you. So
Can we stop the tape for a minute? You can say, can we? Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Take a second. Let's just take a second. Thank you, Dean. That was stop the tape, stop the tape, stop the tape. Oh, y'all. So we've said this a couple of times, and I just want to toss. I want to say it again. We truly, we truly before last night was like, all right, 5. We just want 5. We can't. I
was hoping for 5 for the first night, and I was like, if we can end the weekend with 10, then I was gonna be happy. Oh my god, it's so embarrassing to be crying like this. I'm just
deep breaths.
Yeah. It's the hair,
and
isn't it?
We very much wanted to run this a lot. We wanted to run this chat and this channel a lot like RA, and the fact that you don't have to be a member. You don't have to we just wanted a good.
We want to love everybody. Yeah, we want everybody.
And we wanted this to be a safe place for everybody and a comfortable place. And although it's a little more risque than the day, we just wanted to make it something that was for you all, but then also something that we would like to be a part of. And you all have blown us away, blown us away. I can't even begin to I can't. I can't. I join the ranks of people in Ugg boots with frappuccinos who can't even right now. And this is how I handle my emotions. I tell jokes. Oh boy. Knitting addict. Hello. She said I'm late, but I love the Tisha hair.
Thank you. This is excuse me. This is not Tisha hair. This is little Lucia hair, or Maria, whichever one it was. I can't even talk. Indy, Cindy, thank you, Indy.
Thank you.
Cindy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so embarrassed to be crying like this, but I'm just so blown away because in my mind I've put, so much work into this. JT has put so much work into this, and we just started this on this was just one of those things. I was like, hey, Twitter, would anybody want to tune in if I did this live stream, since nobody in our little group is doing it? And so it was just kind of this last minute thing, and it was like, oh cool, y'all are interested, so let's start tomorrow. So it was just so it was so crazy. And I know it, like there were videos before that, but I mean, as far as like the live stream stuff goes. And so when all this stuff started happening, Holly Berry again, Amos again.
And Amos just gifted 5 memberships.
Amos again. When we started all this, I was just thinking, and when it took forever for them to, because I submitted this stuff and hit the numbers, but it took forever for them to approve. So we were thinking maybe 10 by the end of the weekend. Crystal,
y'all are too good to us already. I don't even.
I was hoping to have 10 memberships by the end of the weekend, and
I was telling Brandi that other than a very select few group, we'll get back to the audio. I promise. We're almost done, but there's like 15 minutes left. But like other than this very small select group of podcasters, I've been in podcasting, true crime podcasting specifically, for 4 or 5 years, and I have waited so long to find a community of viewers, of consumers, of you all that are like this, and it has all happened so very fast, and I don't even know how to pull it together, and it'll eventually hit me probably when I'm in bed, but bleep. Here we are. How
it's not exciting at all. We appreciate your $2, but our story is not even a $2 story. It's not exciting at all. We met on Twitter.
It was
I can't talk.
No, that's literally what it was. I wish it was like we were walking on both sides of the beach and just coming at each other, and we're like, "Hey, you like trials? I like trials." And that's we are currently at 220 members for the person who asked. Wowzers! Yeah, we're as real as it gets. This is what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. Ooh, boy. All right, so we're gonna finish. Let's finish this. Let's finish this audio, and then we can keep talking. And Kyle just gifted another one. Thank you so much.
Kyle has it like on a timer.
And Holly just dropped a super sticker.
Holly Berry.
Holly Berry. Are you Halle Berry? That's what I want to know.
You know what's funny, and it probably shows my age. I can't even talk. I'm so overwhelmed. You know that old song, I like my Tony Braxton's and my Halle Berry's. Every time I read Halle Berry, I hear that song. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about or no? How old are you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'll be.
You're younger than me.
Year.
36.
I'll be 36 this year.
So you're 4 years younger than me. So I don't know. You were in. I was probably in middle school or high school. So you were like being born. I don't freaking know. You're only 4 years. That's not too bad. But I every time I see Halle Berry's name, I think Tony Braxton and my Halle Berry. Oh, it's Halle Berry's in that song. But anyway, I don't know if anybody knows that song. Oh yes,
Callie does.
I paid 35 cents for paid 35 cents. Do anything for 35 cents. Linda Hill, thank you, Linda Hill.
Thank you. All right, let's finish this, and then we can keep chatting. Oh man, oof.
I'll stop crying. I promise I'll stop crying.
State your full name, spell your last name for the record.
Oh, Christy Aiken's here. Christy Aiken's a member now. Hey, Christy Aiken.
Harris, did you know Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
She was a student in my blogging class in Sugar City. She also worked at the school I work in the kitchen, and she was a librarian.
Kyle said he promises he's not on a timer.
We're in Ada County. Can you explain to the jurors, please, where Sugar City is located in Rexburg and St. Anthony?
So Sugar City is in the middle between Rexburg and Fremont County, just right in the middle there.
Do you recall the time frame when Tammy was a student in that class?
It was end of August, early September, and then until the time of her death.
Okay. Do you recall the year?
2019.
And how long was the duration of a single class?
It was a 60-minute class.
Okay, and I think you testified to this, but what kind of class was it?
A clogging dance class.
A loud one.
So forgive my ignorance if it's okay. So Miss Harris, I think I have an idea.
220.
So clogging, I guess I'll ask it this way. River dance, closer to river dance or closer to singing in the rain?
It is closer to river dance.
Okay, I think that clarifies in my mind. Thank you. So fair to describe it as fast-paced cardio?
Yes.
Okay. And as the instructor of that class, are you in front of the class watching and giving instruction?
Yes, I am.
In your observations, did Tammy ever fall behind from the rest of the group?
No.
Did she ever sit out or quit early due to exhaustion?
No.
Her pace and participation was consistent with the rest of the group?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and Ms. Harris, you're not a medical doctor, correct?
Correct.
But from your observations of her participation, did it appear to you that Tammy had any physical ailments that impacted her ability to participate in your clogging class?
No.
Ms. Harris, are you aware when Tammy Daybell died?
Yes.
Was she attending your class in the weeks leading up to her death?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention specifically to the classes before her death. Anything that stood out or changed in those classes in the way that she participated compared to dates that were earlier?
No.
Sarah, did you ever attend any other physical fitness classes with Tammy?
Yes, I did one class.
And what class was that?
It was a high fitness class.
And do you recall the date of that class?
420.
I would say late September.
Same year, 2019?
Same year. Yes.
And were you the instructor of that class?
No, I was not.
And where was that class located?
That was located in St. Anthony.
We're at 1.5.
Sit next to and work out next to Miss Daybell in that class?
Yes.
Can you describe that class to the jury, please?
That class is very high intensity. We're doing squats, we're jumping jacks, burpees, a lot of up and down.
Fair to say it's a different level of cardio than your
Those
clogging
aren't the
class?
right class.
Yes.
Oh, darn it.
And Tammy, from your observations, was able to keep up in that class?
Yes.
In that higher intensity class, did you see any limitations in her ability to participate?
No.
And Ms. Harris, from your perspective and your observations in both your clogging class and this high fitness class, did Tammy seem to be fit and in good health?
Yes.
Judge, that's all I have. All right, thank you, Mr. Bramwell. Any cross-examination?
I see what they did there.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Harris, that'll conclude your testimony for today. Thank you for appearing. The bailiff will help.
Nicely done, everybody. Head over to Ivan's channel and give him a sub.
Yes, we would request that she be released.
Yes.
All right, from the defense, any objection to the release of the witness?
No objection.
Okay, thank you. The state can call its next witness.
The state will be calling Shanna Miller.
Do I have a Shannon Miller on my list? I don't have a Shannon Miller on the list.
That's all right.
All right, before we get started with testimony, let me just inquire, Ms. Miller, have you observed any of the trial testimony, either read it or heard it or observed it in any of the viewing locations since the trial started?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. While you're being questioned, please make verbal responses and try to avoid talking at the same time as anyone questioning you, so we keep a clear record. Also talk directly into that microphone if you would.
Alrighty.
And with that, Ms. Rawlings, you can conduct your direct examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please state your name and spell it for the record?
Shanna Miller, SHANNAMILLER.
Thank you. Where were you previously employed?
Sugar Salem School District.
And did you know Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
How did you know her?
I was on the committee that interviewed Tammy and then hired her. I also worked with her. She was hired as our computer specialist and our librarian.
Did you know her outside of work?
Yes, I also took a high fitness class with her and her daughter twice a week.
And in the weeks prior to Tammy's death, how did she appear to you?
Very healthy. She was in great shape.
Did you have occasion to notice Tammy's weight or appearance?
She looked healthy. She looked, like I said, in shape. She looked happy.
So there weren't any noticeable changes to her?
No.
Did you have an opportunity to observe her participation at that high fitness class?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what that class involves, what kinds of things you do?
Sure. It's a Zumba. It was a Zumba class with some high fit activities involved. So there was Latin dancing, planks. We would do push-ups, burpees, lots of squats, jumping jacks.
Get
It was
creative,
very high aerobic.
but PG-13 or
How would you describe
lower.
her participation and involvement?
Great. At the time, yeah. She and her daughter Emma had been coming for about a year. And at first, like everybody, it's a high fitness class. And so you kind of have to get in shape. But during the course of that time, she was in great shape.
And this class extended, you mentioned, for a year. Can you just give us a time frame for that?
Yeah. So let's see. I believe she did start coming the fall that she first got employed, or not long after that. And then she continued going throughout that year. And then I think that summer also, the summer previous to that fall, she was training with Emma to do a 5K.
Okay. And so that would have been what you're saying. It sounds like maybe fall 2018 through fall 2019.
Yes, that is correct.
And on the day before Tammy died, did you have an opportunity to interact with her?
Yes, she was the computer teacher, and also the librarian. That day, she did lunch count. When you take your kids to lunch, she would mark them off as they came through the lunch line. And so I did see her that day.
Okay, and how did she appear to you?
As always, she was happy, jovial. As the kids would come through the lunch line, she would smile at them, pay them compliments.
Did you observe her coughing?
No.
Did she complain about being sick?
No.
And you're aware that the next day that she passed away, correct?
Yes.
Was there anything else about the timing of her death that you found odd?
Yeah, I mean, Friday I see her at school. Things are great. And the next morning I hear that she's passed.
Yeah. Was there anything about the funeral details that struck you?
Yes.
What was that?
The fact.
I'm going to object to relevance.
Overruled.
We all wanted to honor Tammy. And
I'm objecting to we. This is about her experience, not everyone else.
I will sustain that. If you could just rephrase the question, Charlie, please.
She wanted, the people in that community. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it, but they wanted to honor her.
Hold on. I sustain an objection, so we just need to have a new question now.
So we're talking about your personal observations and what struck you and what you observed. So what struck you about the funeral details? What did you observe?
Okay. There was going to be no funeral. Okay. And the people at my school wanted to honor her, and the people in that community wanted to honor her. Yeah. And so my administrator talked to Chad and said we would like to do something.
I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
That is
his attorneys have been there.
Okay.
To take a note.
So anyway, my principal planned it. He put out the programs. He basically put it together.
Okay. Now, are you aware, this was, I think you're talking about in the Sugar Salem area?
Yes.
So this was a memorial service for Tammy in that area?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, who helped plan that and put the programs together?
My school administrator.
Okay. And then do you know if there was a funeral anywhere else?
There was one in Utah, in our hometown.
Okay. I don't believe I have any other questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rawlings. Any cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So that'll conclude your testimony. Thank you for appearing today. May she be.
Thanks, Life with Bailey. That's Shannon Miller.
Your Honor, we should be released.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So you're released from your subpoena. The bailiff will help you leave the courtroom.
And Your Honor, the state would request a sidebar with the court.
Very well.
No.
My sister-in-law texted me and she was watching and she said, but she had to, my niece and nephew are right there sleeping. And she's like, so I can't actually listen. She's like, I see you crying. Do I need to get somebody? And I was like, no, it's happy tears.
On the record after that sidebar, we were discussing scheduling. The state went through a lot of witnesses in a short amount of time. And given the time frame we had set out for today, we are going to go ahead and conclude for the day at this time. And so we'll be back Monday at 8:30 for continuing trial while we break for the weekend. I do want to, again, please admonish the jury that you're not allowed to talk to each other with anyone else. Please don't do anything to investigate the case, to look the case up.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So once again, we're ending with my eyes all swollen.
Well, we don't have to end right away.
No, but I'm saying this ain't gonna go down anytime soon. So, John Thomas is. I'm trying to catch up on this because when I got to, all my messiness, I couldn't read anything. So now I'm trying to scroll up because I don't want to miss anything because I love seeing what y'all say. And now I'm just now seeing John Thomas is not the best part of waking up. I'm going back and everything. This is hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious.
I thought she said herpes. That's hilarious.
John Thomas eats the avocado pit. Woo! I did too. Yay. Oh, Brandi, did you call your mom last night?
I did, and she didn't answer, that little heifer. But I called her this morning again and woke her old butt up and told her what was going on. She was like, 156. So is that good? I was like, yes, Mama, that's good. So
John Thomas uses budgie smugglers.
John Thomas is not my favorite. I cannot wait for the WTF moment for all the John Thomas stuff. Fantastic night, yes. Thank you.
I don't even know. Like, I just don't know where to go. I don't want to go anywhere. I love you guys.
It's crazy because I'm not a big crier, and like, you know, people who know me in real life would look at this and be like where the heck did that come from? Because I'm really not a big crier, but I'm so blown away just because I feel like I have had so much. I've had so many blessings, and I'm so fortunate, and like everything has happened so randomly, and you know, it's been the most just the funnest ride ever. But it's like, I think that because of how everything has just been so random and like whatever, my expectations have been so far surpassed that it just gets really emotional because, you know, like I said, like, you know, we were thinking last night, like, man, if we can get like our first 5, I really was thinking like, okay, my absolute goal, like if I don't end the weekend with 10 memberships, then I'm going to have to reevaluate what I'm doing. So, I mean, it's just, it's overwhelming for sure. And it's so humbling. And to think that, like, you know, that many people like care enough about going through all of this with us is just really, it's just really overwhelming. It's just really cool. And I love it.
Biggest nuggets each of us have taken from listening to the trial.
Oh, I would love to hear that. Yes. Polly Pressy Pants, look at you go. Look,
you can
Polly
drop
Pressy
them in the
Pants
chat.
Informed thoughts. Yeah, I would love to hear that.
And so you can drop your stuff in the chat, and then that's really good. And then
that's awesome.
What do you hold on, I'm gonna take 2 seconds and put that up for a second, because that's absolutely true.
Thank you.
Oh no, I didn't mean to put it up. And it's like I did a hard reset on a Super Nintendo game and we started all over again.
I just, you know, I look back and like my Facebook memories too have been popping up, and like, you know, my last chemo treatment was like, it was just in my memories. And like, I was in a hospital for 6 months, and I was thinking I would never see the beach again. And I would never so to not only to get out of all that, but then to get here and have so many great people, and to like have the opportunity and the blessing to like be doing something that I did for fun, that I loved anyway, like to have the opportunity to do that, like as my thing, is just so far beyond anything that I saw my life become. And I'm very blown away, grateful. And I appreciate it.
Kyle,
and I promise I won't cry. I promise I won't cry every night. I promise I won't cry every night. Look at Kyle. Kyle's timers.
I don't know. Mel, thanks for getting Kyle into it.
Thank you so much.
Now the question earlier about the nuggets from this case, that was actually for us, not for everybody else.
I'm so curious to I want to know everybody else's thoughts too, but go ahead, JT.
I think here's what I'm learning, and I'm learning a lot of this. You know, I'll give him a shout out again, but I'm learning a lot of it from Bob Mata, who was on our show this past Sunday and then Monday. And it's really interesting because usually when you think about defense, or you think about somebody who has been charged and they might have a ton of evidence against them, but the thing that I think about now, thanks to like Defense Diaries and Bob, is that conspiracy to commit murder is quite a different thing, because to prove that is difficult. And also the other thing that they brought up, I think it was last episode, was that murder is killing a human, and if she genuinely and honestly thought that they weren't that, what are you like? I don't know. It's a stretch, and I don't think that that's going to play much. I think the fact that she was a crappy mom and left and went to Hawaii and knew what happened, and I think that's all going to. Jurors are not robots. Like, you can tell them not to decide on their emotions or put emotions into this, but they're going to. And that's probably why I'm never going to be a juror. That and them asking me if I have podcasts, and I'll say yes, and that'll be it. But anyway, so like, I'm just thinking about this trial has really put a lot of things in perspective in terms of like looking at it from a bird's eye view, which Bob does a fantastic job of. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I think that's that's probably a non-answer, but an answer nonetheless. Brandi, I tried to give you a little bit of time.
I'm still trying to gather myself. This has been so, like, I had gone into a couple, not like super deep dives the way that I did like with, Murdaugh, essentially. Like, I got like, far going into that. I have gone like kind of deep dive into some of this, but there are things that have come out now that I had not heard before or had not, and they may have been, or they may be bombshells that are coming out in court. I don't know, because like I said, I didn't go as deep into this as I did like the Murdaugh stuff and stuff. But I've said so many times that I think that Alex was the hitman. Alex is the killer. Alex is the one who's, doing all this. And yesterday, when they said that it was his prints on that duct tape, even though I'd said so many times that that's what I was so sure was happening, hearing the hardcore, can't dispute it evidence hit me so much harder. That was one of those like things that was like, oh crap, like it really stood out to me, because it's almost like, you go through these things and like you have your theories and you think this and this and this, but when you actually hear like, this is what happened and there's no disputing this, and this uncle of this poor boy, his prints are on the duct tape that is responsible for him no longer being here. Like, that hits in such a way that no matter how much you believe it before you get the proof, it hits in such a way that's like just takes the breath out of you, if that makes sense, And I feel like that was one of the biggest things for me. And then the fact that I'm curious to see with Chad's kids, because they're older and they've said all along, they support their dad, which I could not even imagine the situation they're in. Of course, they're going to support their dad, because you're never going to want to believe that your dad would be capable of those things. I'm curious now that they're seeing some of the evidence coming out and seeing some of the like texts and stuff from him, where they had said before that he was set up. I'm curious to see if their perception of his level of involvement has changed since then, especially like the text about, how he's going to have to deal with their graduations, even though Tammy might be dead by then, might be alive by then, whatever, like that kind of stuff. I can't imagine as his child how that would affect you internally, and like how that could change how you look at things. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think those are the things that I didn't like prepare myself for as much going into. So those are the two things that I think have kind of like hit me. And then of course, the torture that the kids went through, but I don't like talking about that, because then I'll cry again and it won't be for good reasons. So,
yeah, I think this is an interesting point. If she knew what happened, didn't care, it's enough. But there's always that thing of a murder charge unless you did it. And then of course there's the whole murder charge. If you were there or involved in any way, it's murder, even if you didn't do it. And so I'm not a law expert. Bob is. I'm sure we might have some legal experts in here, which would be great. Yeah. This is true. Apple is doing different things with YouTube. They're going to add a button to subscribe, and I think you'll be able to subscribe to channels through Apple. But they do want a piece. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Are Chad's kids going to be called as witnesses? For who? I
don't know. I haven't looked at the witness list, so I would think that well, I don't think it'll be defense because they're wanting to pin everything on him. If anything, it would be for prosecution. But even then, I don't see it because they're wanting to prove that this was all, conspiracy with all of them. So I don't know. Accessory murder. Andy, yeah. Well, I mean, that's. I know that they're trying to, and you can tell they are trying to pin this hardcore on Chad, but it is very obvious that Lori was a part of this. You cannot heavy breathe into a microphone enough to make me believe otherwise. She was a part of this. Like, no matter what ridiculous, super inappropriate questions he asked to whatever witness, there's nothing that's going to change my mind. She was a part of this. You cannot murder her babies and have her go and dancing on a dang beach, weeks later, without her knowing. Her babies are buried on her husband's property. You cannot tell me she's not a part of that. And especially with all that dark and light scale, and this one's a zombie and that one's climbing on cabinets. Give me a break. All kids are zombies. They're all awful in their own way, but they're all also babies. They're good in their own way too.
What's really interesting, Dean. It's fascinating to me, this rhetoric, and there's a lot of research out there, and I really need to read more of it. But as an undergrad and a graduate, I had my undergrad and graduate in communication theory, and some rhetoric was involved in that, and persuasive rhetoric as well. But to me, it's amazing how quickly this happened. It's amazing how quickly Lori was able to get, for instance, Melanie, because they had only known each other for a year, right? And so there's a very interesting point here. And then on top of that, you're not only doing the cult thing, but you're adding religion to it. And when you have a group of people who already have a belief system, and then you bring in this other viewpoint, and you're very persuasive, and you're very gregarious and things like that. And you also
and convincing, as she's been called a lot.
Convincing. You offer people what they're looking for because you can tell what they're looking for. You can read that in their just their being, just the interactions you have with them. I think that all is a perfect storm. Where's George Clooney when you need him? And that just really that tends to happen. And I think that's why a lot of cults, they have a religious foundation, right? You had there was Waco. There's Scientology. Mm-hmm. There's Heaven's Gate. Even Love Has Won, which is a cult that I'd like to talk about. We might do what I want to do, and I've talked briefly about this with Brandi, is that I'd like to do some sidebar videos in which they're published. They're not necessarily live, but they're one-off cases. I do those on my podcast, so why not bring them here too? And I'd like to cover some things like that. But Love Has Won was a lot like that too. Love Has Won pulled a lot from like Scientology, Heaven's Gate, Christianity, and put it all together. And it's just fascinating. Look it up. That whole story is wild. To the point in which, they refused to let the leader go to the hospital. She died, and they actually brought her back across state lines, having died, and then created a shrine out of her body. So dark, but also, yes, Jonestown too. Absolutely. I can't believe I forgot Jonestown, but you always have that underlying, there's that underlying faith, no matter what it is. And even if it's created, right? Like Heaven's Gate, for instance, it was kind of created, but it was a faith and offering people what they were looking for. Yep. Would you look at that?
You're not supposed to tell them.
But let's see here. You're correct about Lori and her part in this, especially since she lied about where the kids were, and both kids were safe when both were not. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
And Nexium. Yeah, that's a good one too. Nexium. That's another one that was like Nexium. Very like like all the.
What was stuff. What was the? I don't want to get kicked off of. It's fine. It's a Netflix special, right? What's there's a documentary on Netflix about a group that focuses around orgasms. I cannot remember what it was called.
Oh, the Orgasm Inc. was.
That's it.
Orgasm Inc.
That was another one to a degree.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is like when you like, and that's part of, my degree is in psychology. So like, I've always been very much into the, like, what makes people do the weird things that they do. And like, one of like Cult 101 is catching people who are searching for something, like whether you're searching for a meaning for your own life, or you're searching for belonging, or you're searching to like, feel excitement that you haven't felt in a while. A lot of times it is that sense of belonging and feeling like a part of something. But, people go into these things for different reasons, but it's not just like hey, this is what we believe. Come on over. It's, a lot of it is a process. Like you are kind of, groomed into, accepting more and more things. And, like you're presented with like hey, this is the fun part of what we are. And come on, how much we love each other. And then you get in and you're like, all right, but you also have to do, this and this and this. And the craziness starts happening and things evolve. It's, which makes it, from a psychological standpoint, it makes it more understandable as to how people get in there. But at the same time, from like I'm not a psycho standpoint, it kind of makes you wonder, like, how did they not reach their limits? And I don't care what limits you normally have. Killing your babies is one that is a no-brainer. That's a no-go. So that one to me, I don't understand how that one could be crossed, but I do understand the psychology behind getting into things over your head, but crossing that line is just not one that I can ever understand or, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't, it's, you all are bringing up some really good points. I want to say this, something that Brandi and I would like to do. We're getting different trials call for different things and stuff like that. I don't know if we're going to really change too much of our time frame at the moment. Let me end my full-time job first. Let me convince my wife to end my full-time job first. That's really what it is. Mrs. Brew Crime has to check off that. But what I would like to do is, if y'all, I'm gonna put, again, we're gonna pull the command for Twitter. If you have Twitter, or if you're on Discord, or if you're in the Facebook, you can go ahead and send me a message, or Brandi a message. If you have like a specialty in any of this, or if you just have stuff that you've researched or you're interested in it, we'd like to bring you on. It would be really fun. We want you guys to participate. Obviously you are via chat, and there's still a lot of you here. I'm amazed. Thank you. But it is it's something that we would really like to do, and so just reach out to us and let us know. I would love to be able to kind of come up with a schedule, and maybe before each day or every other day we can bring somebody on and talk to you all about it. I also would like to fix my burner phone so that there isn't an
fart
echo.
noise.
Yeah, there isn't a
Oh.
fart noise. Well, no. So I fixed that. I
okay.
actually think in my brain, my head spaces, I just fixed it in my head. So we'll make sure that I can fix
Okay.
that. Yeah, I have like 3 years of cases. So I'd like to bring them over here in a different format. That would be awesome. Something I love.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We
Oh,
can
look,
do like
John
a
Tom's-
whole separate playlist on the like specifically for that stuff, like to have it all because I mean this is all stuff that you've done. I don't I haven't been involved in it at all. I don't know anything about it. So doing like a whole separate playlist to where you can have it kind of all together and then we can all watch it and learn with you.
Yeah. Yes. Ivan, congrats on hitting on breaking 600, dude.
Woo woo!
It's yeah, that's awesome. And I like what Christy said. They may visit for a suggestion, but they stay for a friend.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. And I would sing the Cheers theme song, but I don't want us to get demonetized. Have I done a podcast on it? Yes, I did do one on Love Has Won. Let me quickly see if it's been put out yet. I'm not sure.
I'm drinking out of our 200 members bottle.
One moment. No, not yet. But I can tell you that it's going to come out on the podcast that I co-host with Terry, True Crime and Wine Time, which I think is up your alley, everybody. I'll pop the names in the chat. I know that it's shameless self-promotion or whatever, but y'all are wonderful. And I have a lot of them for everybody. There's some comedy, there's some narrative, a little bit of everything. And Crime Trials goes through trials. And we're going to start that one back up in a little while, too. So I'm excited about it. I don't think Love Has Won was ever actually in the shipping containers. They were kind of up in that, I think, Oregon, Colorado general area, but they had a house, as far as I know. I didn't read anything about shipping containers. So, Kiki, it's literally all those podcasts are everywhere that you get them. We're pretty much across the board. If you can't find one, just let me know. Reach out. Okay, I'm done with the shameless self-promotion. Sorry, Brandi.
You're good. Keep going.
But yeah. Oh boy, y'all. Yeah, we do need a PO box. Amos, we do. We both need one.
I need one anyway because they leave all of my stuff. Like I live in a condo, so they leave all of my stuff in the hallway, which I hate because my condo, like I live in a very high like vacation spot. So there's only a few of us. My son lives in my same complex. He lives in the next building and 2 floors down, but he lives in the same complex full time. And then there's like a few other people who do, but for the most part, it's all vacationers. So anytime they have a delivery, they leave it at my door, which I hate. So I've been wanting to do a PO box anyway. So this will push me to go ahead and try to do one soon. We'll let y'all know.
Yep. I'm going to look into doing that pretty soon here, and then we'll make it a command. Oh boy. Yeah, always self-promote. I'm really bad at that. I'm really, really bad at that. If it's not a tweet, I am super bad at self-promotion. Yeah. Mary Kay.
Mary Kay. Oh, thank you. Oh, Mary Kay, my eyes just now stopped being swollen from crying. And look at you trying to.
Mrs. Brew Crime needs a lot more than just roses. I mean, she puts up with a lot, y'all.
That's so sweet.
The 4 pods, the 1 live stream, the fact that I mascot, etc., full-time job, etc. It never ends. It never ends.
Oh my gosh. When I tricked him into joining me for this, I was like, I'd said something last night. I was like, yeah, the first night, like I had a great time and the chat was amazing. But as far as like the technical stuff goes, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, so I was like, I can make a graphic like nobody's business. I can make a spreadsheet. But when it comes to like literally everything else, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I asked him, I was like, hey, any chance you want to come on and help out? And so the original plan was going to do it, once or twice, maybe even jump on once or twice a week. And so the first night yes, I tricked him 100%. So after the first night that he did it and he helped me, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so much better not having to like stress the heck out over all of the technical stuff. So then I was like, okay, so what time are we doing tomorrow? And he was like, he kind of stuttered for a second. And then he's like, wait, am I really starting a fourth show right now? I was like, yes. The answer is
fine.
yes. Yes, you are.
For the sake of Mrs. Brewcry, we might need to find out days and stuff that we're all, even for you and me, we might need to find some days that we're off, we're on. There's one of us, there's two of us.
Yes.
Just because, but getting this channel started was so vital for both of us to be here. So you could figure out about both of us,
And it all happened so fast.
Kind of
it was just kind of like jump in head first, then figure it out, which is what we did. But I'm glad we did. It worked out.
Good night,
Good night, Ivan. Oh, Ivan, we have something coming for you. We're not going to tell you yet, though. We have something coming for you.
Oh yes. Which Brandi graphics do you want to see?
I didn't. None of my graphics will ever top the Idaho urinal. So
that's not true.
None of them will ever be as good as the Idaho urinal.
Betsy, that's something that I think we'll talk about and get input. I think obviously after one trial comes the next one. And I think what Brandi and I were talking about is we'd really like to we don't want to compete with RA.
Yeah.
Because he's number one.
Because we also don't want to miss out on RA. We want to be there. We love our people. Yeah.
We do. And he's so wonderful. And we don't want you guys, because a lot of you come from RA, you should not choose. You shouldn't have to choose. And so we'll need to find something, a trial that's a nice counterbalance. And then, maybe it fits more of the late night kind of a thing.
And we've even talked about going instead of being quite as late as we are, because now we're not, once this one's over, we're not going to have to be waiting for audio. Like, let's say if, one is doing, Sarah Boone and the other is doing whatever, maybe take the two biggest trials and, if we're, because, we love being in RA's chat and everything too. So one during the day, and then we love the fact that we are able to take an entire 8-hour day and condense it and still experience it with everybody so that everybody knows what's going on. So that could be something that, once we're not waiting on audio, we can start it earlier. We can still listen to it in faster time. We can, do the whole thing. So that way we get our evening fun too, but without having to stay up until 1 a.m. Yeah. So we're looking at some different things.
Oh, Dean is still at it. I'm about to bring up the final. We might have to close on this one.
Ew, Dean, don't close on that one. I don't want to go to bed thinking about that. Find something else. No, that is not what we're going to be thinking about.
Alyssa, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna.
Thank you
I've
so
made a
much.
couple of changes. I made a couple of updates to our Facebook. So if you all hop on the Facebook, we're gonna have some regular posts that I think are kind of about self-care and talking about what you did that week, the week, and what you're proud of. And we want it to be more than just trials. We really want it to be supportive and interactive and enjoyable. And if there's any suggestions you all have for us about the channel, about the Facebook, about anything, just let us know. We're interested. We obviously can't do everything, but we can definitely talk about it. And I think that's what's important. Oh, okay. All right. Anyways, I think we should probably end there, huh? Oh, wait.
What is Llama Lounge?
Yes. I will explain that to you as soon as we head off the air. It's Discord.
I'm still
okay.
not good
Life
at
of Bailey,
Discord.
you have a really good point here. If you are on a fixed income, much like moi to a degree, this is one thing that we definitely don't want you to feel pressured to do. Do not feel
Never.
pressured to donate at all. Do not feel pressured to gift. Do not even feel pressured to be a member. I think it's wonderful that we're all members now, but the reality is that not all of us can be members every month and do a regular subscription, and that's okay. You still can.
And you'll
be
notice
here.
that we still
Like
even if you're not in green, we still answer you. We still talk to you. We still, we are just so glad that people are here and wanting to hang out with us and experience this with us, because these things are hard to go through by yourself, and we want and there are a lot of true crime communities who are very harsh and negative and difficult, and the trials are already so difficult, you don't want to have extra BS added on top of it. So that's one thing that Brother Brewmeister and I have bonded about from the very beginning. So don't feel obligated to do that. We are still going to love all y'all anyway.
And honestly, Angie, yes. So one of the best things, obviously we love everything that's happening here, but also one of the best things that you can do is share,
word of mouth,
subscribe, share us with your friends and your enemies.
Yeah.
But nice enemies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one of the best ways you can do it. And we had a lot of that happening today, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
So all the things that you can do, there's a lot of stuff you can do without, having to worry about everything else. And that pushes us, So thank you all so very much. I can't even begin to say thank you enough. I'm going to go to my bed and it's going to hit me in the face, and whoa. So thank you. The last thing that I will share is the Discord. Again, I am in that Discord all the time as a mod. I'm going to get Brandi in there more often.
I will try. Yes.
But join up.
Jennifer, I see you, and I'm sorry, Brother Brewmeister. Jennifer, I see you, and I completely understand. I am from a fixed income as well. Going through cancer, I have not been able, I still have, every single day is a medical struggle for me. And because of that, I am still not cleared to go back to work. So I am here, and my income is fixed now because of that. So when I tell y'all that I understand, that everybody's in different situations, I have been in great situation, and I have been where I'm at now, and I completely understand, and there is nothing that makes me think I am just happy that anybody's here. So please don't think that we are only excited about the super chats and stuff. We love all y'all.
We're just happy you're here. And Kiki,
you'll see
I think
us Sunday night for the WTF
and
moments.
It's going to be a much different show than throughout the week with trials. We're going to have a little bit of fun, as always. And we'll probably, once I get the phone thing fixed, we'll take a lot of calls and possibly invite you guys just to show up on the chat, on the stream too. So thank you so much. And if you didn't get a membership this time, the next time that we're up, you definitely we'll work that through with you. Thank you guys so much. I just can't say it enough. We love you. And thanks for being part of our cult.
Thank you for drinking the Kool-Aid. And thank you for reporting to jury duty. We love y'all so much. And we will see you on Sunday.